Greetings, brothers. How you guys doing? Nice to see so many of you in the chat already. Or if you can hear me okay, please let me know. Just shout out in the chat. Say hello. Say that you can hear me fine. I'd appreciate that. Hey, welcome, Redblade. How you doing? So today, as always, I guess we are looking at army lists, and we have quite a few submissions. I guess we'll start by just looking. Yeah, so there's been 8 army list submissions this week. Hey, welcome, Adam. Which is great. The channel is for army list submissions, so that's great. But I guess if you don't get your list submitted, reviewed today, welcome, Phoenix. Then thanks for the submission, and we will get to it next week. It's difficult. I try and do 5, I guess, every Sunday. So, and if you are just new to the stream, or it's your first time here, then I guess 2 things. One would be, I do appreciate all the subscriptions that I've had recently. It really helps me out. And then the second thing would be, if you are interested in getting a list submitted in the future, then click over onto the channel. You come onto the channel, you will go over to the community tab, and when I have space to do future submissions, you'll see a post here in the community tab basically telling you usually what's coming up on the channel this week, and also asking for any list submissions. So if you keep an eye out in the community tab and you want your list submitted, then that's where you want to go. Welcome, Dante, Freelancer, Nukem, Eldar, Mark, Michael, Stephen. Thank you. 1.5k subs this week. It's pretty cool. It's hard work to put out a video every week, but I feel like the suggestion actually last week was from one of you guys in the live stream, was to do the Smash Captain video, and it's really been good this week. A lot of views on it, so a lot of new members to the channel. So I see a couple of people that are here that have that are getting their lists submitted today. When I do start talking about your lists, if you wanna see if you can answer questions that I have in the chat, then that might help. Might help make your list review better, or might also help me make some suggestions on how you improve it. And I guess so. The last thing is this week on the channel. Then I promised you guys last week I have a battle report against Eldar coming up, so that'll be out on Tuesday. And I haven't decided what next Friday's tactics video is yet. So if anyone has any suggestions throughout the stream, feel free to shoot them my way, and I'll take a note of them. And I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing for next Friday, but there'll be something. Alright, so let's have a look at Afro Samurai first. I'll just do it in alphabetical order, I guess. We'll just work down. And did he leave me any notes on this list? Alright, cool. So, let's start by just building a list. How I like to do this is build a list in Battlescribe, and then from there, I guess we can review and discuss. And what's really nice as well is in the last few weeks, a few of you community guys have helped score the lists as well. So if you want to help score the list as we get to the end of each list, then I'd appreciate it as well. Okay. So as always, most of the lists that we get are 2,000 point lists. I do get the odd one that's different. I think this one here I put in brackets as a 1250 list, so I guess we've got one 1250 list to look at this week. But for the most part, 2,000 is usually what I play, so I feel like I'm going to be the most value. I'm going to give the most value on 2,000 point lists, right? I have just chapter selection. Sorry, Blood Angels. Right, Nukem Assault Terminators. The Blood Angels have unique models for them. They're fantastic for this, and they really get discussed when everyone's going on about Sangregard. Yeah, it's very true. Nukem Assault Terminators do have very unique and cool Blood Angels models. They are very survivable now, right? The 3 wounds makes a huge difference, obviously, and the 1+ armor save if you take the Thunderhammer is really great as well. I have had mixed results with the Sangregard. I've probably played 25 games of 9th edition now, maybe more actually, but I've played a lot of 9th edition, and the Sangregard are amazing. If you get the jump on the enemy, i.e. you make the charge, you get to attack first. then it's hard for anything to really come close to the amount of damage they can do, especially like if they're with the Warlord, for example. Like, I tend to run mine at the moment with Dante, so basically they get the +1 to hit from being within 6 of the Warlord, so you've got like Thunder Hammers hitting on 3s, and then usually I would put Dante's buff on them as well, so you're re-rolling everything. And they are amazing if they go first, but survivability, you are right. Assault Terminators are so much more survivable than Sanguinary Guard. Sanguinary Guard actually feel a lot weaker since we lost the Standard of Sacrifice. I guess we'll see if that comes back. Are Relic Terminators worth anything? Relic Terminators, I mean, do you know, I feel like Relic Terminators are just the same as regular Terminators at this point. Like, they used to have some unique rules where they got better invulnerable save just for being just for being like the Cataphractii Terminators, but like, let's have a look. Relic Terminators. So they have the exact same profile as a normal Terminator. They have the 2+ save. I assume that they have the Crux for the 5+ save. Yep. So I mean, the only difference between them and normal Terminators now, I guess, is weapon options. And it doesn't look like they actually get the Teleport Homer, which the other twos get. So, I mean, that's annoying that they don't get the Teleport Homer, unless they don't call it out in the War Gear page and they just put it in the point section at the back of the book. Let me just double check that. Relic Terminators. Where are they? Relic Terminators, they do not get a Teleport Homer. So the only difference is you get some additional, you get the Grenade Harness, you get the Reaper Autocannon, you get the Volkite Charger. I mean, the Volkite Charger is nothing special, heavy 2, it's basically a, like the Pistol Lieutenant in the box, in the Dauntless box got. The Reaper Autocannon is maybe a little bit better than the regular Autocannon, 2 less shots, 1 more strength, 1 more AP. I mean, if you like how cool the Relic Terminators look, by all means buy them. But they're not going to do anything amazing over regular Terminators anymore. A lot of people get baffled by Battlescribe. I mean, I could do a video on Battlescribe. I've used it for a long time here now. So, yeah, I mean, it's possible. We could definitely think about doing that. Let me turn this back off. And I bought the Forge World Blood Angel Predator model after your last video. Damn you. I'm going to add a Crimson Paladin shield and backpack jump pack for either Chaos Champion or a Smash Captain model. I have that model, Highland. I just don't have I don't have a jump pack on it currently, so it's going to be a case of ripping him off and putting the jump pack on it. It is a cool model though, right? I would love to see him when he's painted, so once you get him painted, by all means, definitely share him with me. That would be very cool. Relic Terminators are cheaper than standard Terminators. If they are, I didn't notice that. Oh yeah, 34 points a model. Okay. Alright, that makes it interesting. They're 4 points cheaper per model. Maybe it's a typo? I don't know why they would be 4 points cheaper. I mean, their Combi Bolter is identical to the Storm Bolter, right? Yeah, Rapid Fire 2401. Rapid Fire 2401. Interesting. Can they take Power Fist though? Yeah, no, they come with Power Fist, yeah. Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, Brother Corbulo is very good, right? Sleepy. The only issue I have with Brother Corbulo is how do you get him into the battle, right? Like, do you have to take a Rhino? Because, like, all other Blood Angels characters have jetpacks, and Brother Corbulo does not have a jetpack. I mean, you can use the Sanguinary Priest, very similar. And if you do use the Sanguinary Priest, you can... you could give him a relic to make him more survivable. You have the Praetor with the jump pack, that's cool. Yeah, and I mean, you can add that second part, though, with the combi part, and they don't get the teleport homer. Yeah, but I mean, like, although they don't get the teleport homer, do they still get death from above? Like, can they still... Yeah, sorry. Oh, they call it teleport strike for Terminators, not death from above. Yeah, I mean... Do you know what? I've paid points, Highland, a couple of times now to take that teleport homer, but when it actually comes to, like, using it effectively in the game, I've never... Like, I guess I've just never seen a good opportunity to remove the Terminators for the teleport homer. I don't know why. I think let me double check. The teleport homer, you remove them at the start of your movement phase. So it's a really... Quite often, like, if you're running a big... Or at least in 9th edition, when I've been running big squads of Terminators, I've been running them with a Chief Apothecary to, like... you'll see it in the Eldar game, like, every turn I heal a Terminator and give, like, 2 wounds back to another, like... So it's like... You remove them at the start of your turn is very strange, because it's like you're going to remove them before you heal them, because you obviously use a Chief Apothecary stuff at the end of your movement phase. Yeah, I mean, like, I just think I tend to agree with Nukem here. I think it's too hard to deliver Corbulo into the battle where you want him to go. I mean, the only way I could think of delivering him is in, like, a drop pod, but, like, I actually don't own any drop pods. I was thinking of getting one, but you know, it's a strange choice to put him in a drop pod. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Adam. You could do some sort of drop pod with Corbulo. Yeah, and the Relic Terminators do look amazing. One thing that I was actually thinking of this week, I'll tell you in a little while. I have an idea about a really strong drop pod for the Blood Angels, and I think I'm going to buy some models. But anyway, okay, so let's start on this list, and then I'll catch up on all the questions in chat in a couple of minutes. So this list starts with Lamarta's Canticle of Hate, so we can get +2 to our charge. Mantra of Strength, so we basically add 1 strength, 1 attack, 1 damage to his weapon. Lamarta's has been changed, I believe, so his litanies only affect the Death Company now, right? I'd have to double check that. I haven't ran Lamarta's, I think. But I think they changed it so if you can recite 2 litanies, even if they've already been recited by another model, each time this model recites a litany, if the litany instructs a friendly unit that... Yeah, so it must be a Death Company unit that gets the litany from Lamarta's now. Okay, so just to get that clear before we move on. So we have Lamarta's, we have the Sanguinary Priest, we have a Tactical Squad. Do you know what? I still haven't run a tactical squad yet in 9th edition, even with the 2 wounds change, but I mean, it's nice to see people trying tactical squads. I mean, I have some of them, so I'll probably get back to running them at some point. And Las Cannon for a tactical squad is always a good choice. Missile launcher is maybe a little bit more versatile, just because you can do the frags. It's good against low toughness enemies, but I mean, las cannon is fine, and I'm sure there's always going to be something in every game that you need to shoot a las cannon at, right? So basically 2 tactical squads with las cannons, and then for these tactical squads we have 2 Razorbacks with twin las cannon, hunter killer missile, and store bolter. So 2 Razorbacks, 2 twin las cannon. Wow, the twin las cannon on the Razorback is cheap. I didn't realise that. 10 points. It's cheaper than the twin assault cannon. Okay. I mean, that's actually genuinely quite good. And he's put a hunter killer missile and a storm bolter on both ones. Yeah, I mean, I guess like just to be able to pop some enemies early in the game, 2 Razorbacks with las cannons, and I guess the tactical squads are probably in the Razorbacks. We'll continue on and we'll see. Let me minimise these down so we can still see what's going on. And then elite-wise, we've got some Sanguinary Guard. I mean, it feels like every list of everybody playing Blood Angels at the moment is running a lot of Sanguinary Guard. And it's 2 squads of 6. 3 swords, 3 axes, 2 infernal pistols. Alright, I like that just because I really like having some infernal pistols now that they've buffed them to potential 8 damage. It's huge, right? You'll see in basically the last 2 games I've played, just before the Death Company have charged, I've been able to shoot something for about 10 damage with infernal pistols. It's really strong, and it's genuinely quite cheap, right? It's just 5 points. I'd also be tempted, if you have 5 points left over, to throw a infernal pistol into your Death Company as well. You know, like if you're going to be in close because you're charging anyway, then it's potentially like a lot of damage. Plus, you don't even have to shoot it at your charge target, right? You can pop it on something else. Apothecary and Terminators are a great combo. Yeah, I mean, like when I was using it this week, the Apothecary healing a 43 point model per turn is pretty strong. And the Relic, Terminators and Crimson Paladin models are great. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to get some of those at some point. Hey Smithel, welcome to the stream. Yeah, his litanies only affect Death Company, but he gives the Death Company the free reroll and the charge. And yeah, he can reroll his own charge as well because it's the Death Company keyword, right? Lamartus was good in 8th, now in 9th. I 100% go for Astroth. Do you know what? I feel like Astroth is overpointed at the moment, like 150 points. Maybe it's just the meta I play in, but like for example, I just talked about how good pistols are at blowing things up, right? Like when I play with someone like Astroth, he just gets hit with a meltagun. He just dies straight out, like 150 points gone. You have to make a 4+ save, and if you don't, you know, even with a reroll, I just think 150 points for a character that can be taken out by a single shot is rough at the moment. I mean, I guess you could argue that Dante is kind of the same. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that we get some buffs to our characters. I think, yeah, I mean, I guess Astroth's a bit like a glass cannon at the moment, right? But a homebrew chaplain, is definitely strong right now. I think, I was going to say, the chaplain on a bike is someone that I haven't run yet, but you know, someone was talking about it a little bit this week in the comments for the Smash Captain video, saying that like, had I considered the new Primaris chaplain on a bike, and I think there's some interesting options with him, especially how he starts with toughness 5 and 7 wounds, right? It seems like quite a lot for a character, and like I think he's fairly cheap. I'm hoping to finally get my Indomitus box this weekend. You know what? I'm probably just going to convert the chaplain in there and one of the Outriders to chaplain on a bike, because I don't fancy paying $30 for the new model, and I haven't had great success with where is he? Chaplain. Primaris chaplain on a bike. 115 points. Yeah, I mean that's not a lot of points for a character with 7 wounds and 5 toughness, who could easily, with a warlord trait, could easily be buffed to like 8 wounds and 6 toughness. There would be some doing to have to take him down at that point, right? But yeah, Smash Chaplain might be interested. The great thing, you can run both Master Chaplain for the Blood Angels main and Lamartus for the Death Company. Yeah, and you can use the same litanies. I mean, that is nice. That is a new, interesting option that they have definitely given us, right? So, and then, and you think it's good there's a choice between Lamartus and Astroth. Yeah, and then, but then, like we just said, right? Like, so, let's just look, like, compare this chaplain for 115 points with his toughness 5 and his 7 wounds. And he could be made like the Master Chaplain for, I can't remember, what is it? Master of Sanctity for for 35 points. So for 150 points, so this guy would be the same as Lamartis. However, if you make him that master, no, he would not be the same as Lamartis, sorry, he'd be the same as Astroth. If you make him that master, I believe, I haven't done this yet myself, because I guess I haven't been playing much Chaplains since I felt they were too easy to, like, our Blood Angels ones are just too easy to kill. If you make this, where is it? If you make him the Master of Sanctity, then he can have one additional litany, and he can recite one additional litany per turn. And I guess you can give him the Wise Orator, so all the litanies go off on 2s, and you can also, at that point, cast a stratagem to guarantee the litany to go off for 1 CP. And then when if you compare that against Astaroth, I just turned on the wrong thing. Sorry, the sound might have echoed for a second there. I clicked the wrong button. If you compare it to Astaroth, so 2 less wounds, 1 less toughness. He doesn't get anything that lets his litanies go off on 2s. I guess you get Massive Doom, but my issue, I use Massive Doom fairly regularly in 8th edition, right? And maybe if you used it when there was 5 squads around him, maybe 1 squad got the 4+ invulnerable save, but it's so random. Usually the 4+ invulnerable save would get on a unit that didn't even need the invulnerable save, whereas you'd want the 4+, let's say in the Death Company or Sanguinary Guard. Just because you're only getting it on 6s, you've got no control over it. So yeah, that's my opinion. I get that he does a good amount of damage. But there is a relic you can take for the Chaplain, the non, which is +2 strength, -2 3 damage. I think. What's that relic called again? I'm not familiar with 100% of all the names of the. It's called the Benediction of Fury, and it replaces your Crozius. Yeah, and do you know what? It actually has another bonus that I didn't even remember here. It's got the. It's got each attack made with this weapon on a 6 you inflict mortal wounds. So at that point, it's 1 AP less than Lamarta's weapon, but 6s are gonna do mortal wounds. So I guess that's very, very similar. So I guess the question is Massive Doom worth 35 points, or would 1 more toughness and 2 more wounds be better? Yeah, I think it's sad. I don't know. I haven't fielded Lamartis since they made him 150 points. Maybe you guys don't agree, and I guess Smithel, maybe you think Astaroth is still good at 150 points. In the meta I play, there's just so many Meltagons and stuff running around. This guy is going to get killed by 1 shot, right? And I can't afford to lose a 150 point character to one shot. It's crippling to lose that many points for a single Meltagun. And yeah, I had it happen. I had it happen quite often. He would quite often die when he was 110 points, or I think it was 110, and I could sort of fathom that. I'm okay, it's annoying that he died from a single pistol or a single shot, but he's only 110 points. 150, you're sort of pushing it, right? I don't know. Maybe we'll, in one of these future videos, we'll look at that Chaplain in more detail and see what we're thinking, right? So, let me put a little bit more of this list together. So we've got 2 Infernal Pistols, and we have I've lost it. Then we've got 2 5-man Death Company with jump packs and chainswords, which I kind of like. The 5-man Death Company now get a lot of attacks on the charge. And I feel like a 5-man death company is brilliant to drop down to just contest like an objective. So like if you think about 5-man death company coming in, even in turn 2, right? They have 2 attacks. It's 3 from the chainsword, 4 from the black rage, then 5 from charging. So it's 5 attacks per model. So you get 25 chainsword attacks. And if it is turn 3, then you get 30 chainsword attacks. And they obviously become -2 in turn 3 because you're in Salt Doctrine. You know, like if you put 30 chainsword attacks into, I don't know, a squad of intercessors or something holding a backfield objective, you're going to hit them 20 times because you hit on 3s. You're going to wound on 3s again because we're Blood Angels. So you're talking like 13, 14, -2 saves. If you don't kill the squad, you're going to at least push them towards really going to have to take a leadership test. Maybe you wouldn't contest the objective, right, because they're troops and you're not OBSEC, but there's other things you can do to sort that, right? Like in the future turn, you could heroically intervene with our stratagem that lets us do that and finish them off. And also, I think sometimes it just makes them have to retreat and deal with their own deployment zone, right? Like, I think Battlescribe has got these points wrong because these guys are supposed to be 25 points per, not 20. I don't know why it's only adding 20. Okay, Vanguard Veteran Squad. I think Vanguard Veterans are very strong at the moment. I think a lot of people will be running them. Especially, we got 6 with double lightning claws. Alright, that's crazy. I guess purely for a number of attacks, that gives them the 5 attacks each as well. And then we've got 2 with storm shields and power swords. Not so convinced on the power swords. And then the captain with the storm shield and the relic blade. Okay, so and these guys have jump packs, yeah. So the double lightning claws is nice, right? Like you can't really deny the double lightning claws. 5 attacks and re-rolling wounds is pretty strong. I've run some lightning claw terminators, and I think I actually ran them in the game that I've got coming out this week, and yeah, I mean, they do get a phenomenal amount of hits, and I guess they do get a good amount of wounds as well. So I can see why you would run Vanguard Veterans with double lightning claws. Personally, I like to have my Vanguard Veterans a little bit more survivable than that. But I mean, it all depends on how you want to use them. And yeah, Battlescribe, actually, these points are all wrong because power swords are 5. Okay, so yeah, the points in Battlescribe is a little bit wrong at the moment. Oh no, shit. And yeah, I mean, I suppose it depends on how shooty a list you're playing against, but I guess if you get into combat with these Vanguard Veterans, the issue you're going to have with this many jump troopers is like you're going to have to start a bunch of them off the board in Deep Strike, and you don't want to be too weak as the game starts, I guess. And then you also have the 6th elite choice, and I guess the last elite choice you could have taken in this was a Terminator squad. And it's 3 Stormbolters and Power Fist, the Sergeant with a Stormbolter and Power Fist, and then an Assault Cannon. I haven't run the Assault Cannon myself yet. I keep meaning to run these guys, but I just haven't got round to it. But, I mean, I guess it's an interesting option, and if you have the 5 points for the Teleport Homer, then you could do something like with that. Alright, let me catch up on chat. Mantra of Strength and Benediction of Fury, then a good trait. Yeah, I mean, like, you could definitely... I guess you could do sort of similar things with Astaroth, but not quite the same. Okay. What Master of Sanctity is plus 25 points? Alright, sorry, yeah, did I miss that? I said 35. Alright, so it's 10 points cheaper, that chaplain on a bike. Yeah, I mean, like, at that point, yeah, the Vox was on. Sorry, yeah, I clicked the wrong button. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you don't want too many Death Company on the table. I think you're right. Like, in my games now, I'm running 5 Death Company with jump packs, and just with chain swords, and I put 1 power fist into the group in case they run into something that just the chain swords aren't going to deal with, right? But very much, I'm just dropping down 5 Death Company in deep strike, usually in the backfield to try and contest an objective in their deployment zone. And they're very much a disposable unit. If they kill the thing and they knock the enemy off the objective, great. If they die, I guess that's fine as well. They're just a distraction. Yeah, I mean, there's so many options with the chaplains now. Sleepy, we're probably going to have to look at chaplains in the very near future. We need our company veterans to get jump packs in the supplement for the bodyguard rule. Yeah, do you know what? It's a bit sad that, like, last edition, Marneus Calgar got those bodyguards, right? Like, I don't know if you... I don't know if you can actually buy Marneus Calgar separate anymore. Like, he just comes with his bodyguards, right? Yeah, like Marneus Calgar gets these 2 guys. Like, this box here, this is what I was hoping we'd get for Dante, right? Like, Dante plus Sanguinary Guard. I don't care about the price. Like, it could be $50, I suppose. It's probably about right now, and that they're probably going to charge, like... it's probably going to be $50, but... I mean, like, Primaris Dante plus Primaris Sanguinary Guard, that'd be pretty cool, right? When I saw this box, like, that was like midway through 8th edition, or maybe it was quite near the start of 8th edition. I was like, oh my god, we need this for Dante. Like, when are we getting this for Dante? Also, between the Sanguinary Guard and Death Company, we need our new supplement. I feel like you're right. I think the Sanguinary Guard needs some new powers to make them a little bit more competitive on the board. Survivability is my issue with them. Yeah, I mean, you're right. The 5+ Feel No Pain and 6 Feel No Pain. The 6+ Feel No Pain feels terrible. Like, it's just so unreliable. And you gave up on Battle Scribe. Do you know what? I make most of my lists on paper, but I do like... The one thing I like about Battle Scribe is it's quick to change things, and I guess as long as you know the points are wrong. And they do get there eventually. Yeah, I think Primaris Dante and Honor Guard would be the best box, right? Yeah, I mean, I think they'd sell so many. I think, I mean, people would just buy 2 and convert Dante as well to have more Sanguinary Guard, I guess. So let's have a look at what Afro said about this list. He said the idea is here to have both Sanguinary Guard squads as a group, the Sanguinary Guard to shield the Librarian up the field. Oh shit, did I miss a Librarian? Oh. Okay, sorry. He has the Librarian Dreadnought as well. I was like, what Librarian? Oops. I guess he's got some sort of melta gun on that because it's plus 5 points. Okay. So, the Sanguinary Guard are going to sort of protect the Librarian up the field, likely to go after big dangerous stuff, potentially add a priest to the group. Hopefully a super killy blob of epicness. The Vanguard Vets are to run down the centre. I guess you could have a priest join them, but feels that Icon Angel would be good in Librarian Sanguinary Guard blob, yeah. Lamartas in both company squads to target dangerous infantry. I know they're not the best at the moment, but feel like Martyrs, they can be buffed well to hunt down and reliably murder infantry. Yeah, I mean, that is very true. They can do that without Lamartas. Just save 1 CPs to reroll your charge from Deep Strike if you need to do it. They're deliberately in 2 squads of 5 so they can work independently within 6 inches. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense to have them as separate squads as well. It helps you with blast weapons too. And then the Terminators are a backup, drop them when they needed, and they can potentially swap for Assault Terminators, lacking support though, hence why the ranged option. The Tactical Squads and Razorbacks are for objectives. There's no Primaris, there's no Contemptor, there's no more slots in the Vanguard detachment, lacking support in areas, most likely many more. Anyways, no worries if you have too many army lists, but keep up the good work. Okay, so, cool. So, 2 Sanguinary Guards going with Librarian and probably the Priest down the middle, or I think you said going for high value targets. Death Company coming in to kill infantry. Tactical squads, I guess, to hold objectives and Razorbacks. And Vanguard vets are going to be kind of weak and easy pickings, but maybe if the enemy's shooting them, then you're in a good state. I mean, to start with, I'd probably switch out at least a couple of those Vanguard vets to just chain swords and storm shields, so that there's like super cheap options or super cheap versions in the squad to take some wounds on. I'd also probably like to take a power fist or two in the Sanguinary Guard. I just feel like having those power fists, especially if they're near your warlord, then you get to you don't get to reroll, sorry, you get your +1 to hit. The power fists are crazy strong. Like once you get to turn 3 and it's like 5 power fists per person. You know, like the game I played this week, I had Dante buffing the Sanguinary Guard, both the +1 and the rerolls. And in turn 3 I had like 4 power fists in that group. So you're getting 20 power fists hitting on 3s, rerolling everything. It's unbelievably, like they're just gonna, for all my complaining about Sanguinary Guard in terms of their raw offense, it's just nasty. Does Librarian Dreadnought get Lookout, sir? Yes, he does, because he's under 10 wounds. Even if you give him the Warlord trait, I believe there's one that gives you +1 wound and a 6+ feel no pain. It's called Iron Resolve. He would still get Lookout, sir, with the Iron Resolve. I run that this week in my game against Eldar, so if you watch that game against Eldar, you'll see a Librarian Dreadnought with 1 extra wound and a 6+ feel no pain. And obviously I cast my Psychic Bubble, so he has a 5+ invulnerable save. It's pretty strong, and also the cool thing about Librarian Dreadnought then is, like, because he's a character, right, he can heroically intervene as well. So you just have to, I guess that catches people out because they don't realise he's a character so much. And I did that, again, you'll see that in the Elder game where I get to heroically intervene into Wave Serpent and just do like 10 bonus attacks on it or something, you know? Maybe not quite 10, but enough to just decimate it. You could do a community highlight video once every 2 weeks and just have people submit photos. Yeah, I mean, we've got the Facebook group now. If you aren't in the Facebook group, you can join in the link below the video. And yeah, I think maybe what we'll start doing is we'll pick some of the art or some of the models people have painted, and each week we'll have a look at some of the things people have painted, and maybe the same thing goes if people tell me a little bit of information about how they're painting or what they're wanting to do with them, then we can talk about them a little bit. Yeah, I mean, he only gets to fight with the funky Glavy once, which does 4 to 6 damage, but I mean, there's other arms, still a Furioso Fist, dude. It still does, well, I'm pretty sure the Furioso Fist does D6 damage, right? Or is it a flat 3 now? I forget. But, I mean, it's still Furioso Fist, and it's still Rex. Furioso Fist. So it's a flat 3 damage. Yeah, I mean, it's still strong when he gets like 7 attacks. Like, it's I don't really have an issue too much with the fact he only gets 1 attacks with his. Yeah, I'm not sure if people can submit pictures on the community tab though, Adam, or is it just me? I mean, if you want to do me a favour and try and submit a picture in one of these posts down here, that would be great. But I think, I guess if people want to submit the pictures on Facebook, then I could take them and put them into the community tab so you can see them in your timeline. Alright, the first list, I guess, always takes a little bit longer for me to do because there's a lot to talk about. So, how are we going to score this first list? And if you guys in the community want to score this list with me, that would be cool as well. Because usually you guys have suggestions that are super useful, and I feel like they definitely, I think people have been appreciating the people in the community doing suggestions as well. Alright, so objective holding. Well, we've got 2 tactical I put this in a battalion, but it's not, because he only has 2 tactical squads. So, he only has 2 OBSEC choices. He didn't pick any other warlord traits that give him OBSEC. Let me double check that I didn't miss that. No, he put Iron Resolve on the Librarian Dreadnought, and yeah, so there's nothing else that's OBSEC except the 2 troop choices. And then what else have you got to sit around and hold? I mean, I guess you've got a couple of Razorbacks that could hold objectives, and they do have double las cannons on them. So, I mean, I guess maybe we'll say objective holding is 3.5. It feels a tiny bit generous. Maybe a 3, but I mean, there's no hard and fast rule for. I guess it's just how I'm feeling on the day. How are you going to do against clearing anti-infantry and horde? Well, the Death Company will clear infantry like no bother. They'll clear 50 infantry a turn if they get into combat. I guess beyond that, you don't really want to be using your Sanguinary Guard to kill infantry. And I guess your Terminators could kill some with their Stormbolters. I feel like there isn't a huge amount of firepower here, so... Or... Yeah, maybe like 3.5 again. It really depends on how full or how stacked your enemy's list is with infantry. How does this do against vehicles? Well, I mean, both Tactical Squad has las cannons. Both Razorbacks had twin las cannons. Obviously, we talked about how good Sanguinary Guard are, but I think you need to put a couple of Power Fists in because... against they're going to be killing vehicles. Your Terminators have Power Fist as well, so they can kill vehicles. Your Vanguard Veterans, I guess, probably can't kill vehicles effectively, but they do have Melta Bombs, so there is that. So I think I'm going to give like a 4 for anti-vehicle. Like I think you have enough here. Again, like you could throw a Power Fist into these Death Company units. I do always like having like one really strong weapon in each squad, right? So that like if the Death Company did come up against a Dreadnought or something that's holding the backfield, like chain swords probably aren't going to cut it, but if you have like a Power Fist in there and you still have like 5 attacks in your Death Company, then 5 Power Fists could do a chunk of damage to the Dreadnought, and maybe combined with all those other chainsword attacks would be enough to drop it out. Yeah, it is a Vanguard detachment, I think. I just put it in as a battalion by mistake. So mobility, I guess your mobility is super high though, right? Everything is mobile, because the Tactical Squads can go in the Razorbacks, the Death Company, the Sanguinary Guard. I think your mobility is like 4.5. I think the only thing that's probably not mobile is Librarian Dreadnought, right? But you have a strategy to try and get him across the board. So yeah, let's say 4.5. And then how specialised is this list? So what I mean by specialised is like, does this list focus too much on a single thing? Or is it solid? Is it a solid all-round list? I guess I wouldn't say it's too focused on anything. If I had to change something, I suppose, what would it be? I'd maybe almost listen to what Smithel was saying about like chaplains. Like maybe we should get rid of Lamartis here and replace him with like I hate to say replace him with Astaroth after I've just slagged Astaroth off for a wee while, but yeah, maybe replace him with Astaroth would be a good choice, or a chaplain on a bike. If you have to lose like one member of the Vanguard Vet Squad or something to manage that, I guess that'd probably be okay. And if you looking at the list, right, your Sanguinary Guard are your strongest units here, and you really want to get them up the board in combat, so having a chaplain that really affects them might be a better option. But yeah, overall I don't think it's too specialised at all, so I guess like I think the specialization is probably like a 3.5. Like there's nothing too worrisome here. You're not super focused on any single thing. So 19 out of 25. Do you know what? That's not bad. Yeah, I mean, I guess you take a CP hit from being from taking that Vanguard squad. So Michael gave you a score of 17, and if anyone else has any score that they think that they want to put on this list, if you drop the score now, then we'll have a look at that. But yeah, thank you for the submission, Samurai, and thank you for giving a little bit of a little bit of like backstory on how you plan to use the list, because that really makes my life a lot easier when I'm looking at lists if I know roughly what units people are taking and stuff like that, or roughly what strategy they're planning on playing. Rather, maybe is a better way of saying that. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. The Bike Chaplain is going to be is really strong, and especially if you're trying to bring the Librarian Dreadnought across the table anyway, then the Bike Chaplain can easily keep up. I mean, he can keep up for the most part anyway, right? With his how would that list do against Knights? Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what. It's hard to say without knowing what Knights the enemy use, but I mean, some of the. Let me try and remember. I've only played a few games against Knights, but I think it's the Knight Crusader, right? That has that. Let me check. Knight Crusader. The Rapid Fire Battle Cannon, which is like heavy 2d6, strength 8 minus 2d3 damage. So on average, every shot that wounds from the Rapid Fire Battle Cannon is going to kill like a Sanguinary Guard, a Death Company, I guess it wouldn't kill a Terminator anymore, but it would kill a Vanguard Vet. So, I mean, if you're running against like someone that's got like a couple of Crusaders or a couple of those Rapid Fire Battle Cannons, you're going to have a real nasty time. I mean, they're only -2. And maybe you can position your guys to get in cover. I think in one of my other videos about Sanguinary Guard and stuff, I said, like, it's really important if you're running your guys across the battlefield to try and have them in cover to get that +1 on the armor save. Like, you wouldn't believe the difference. I mean, maybe it wasn't such a big deal when we had the Standard of Sacrifice, but now, like, 2 damage weapons will just rip those things apart. So, against Knights, it would be a tough game, I guess. Adam gave you 15. He thinks that you need to get a 3rd troop choice, and Nuke gave you where the hell is it? Here we go. So Adam gave you 16 because you need a 3rd troop choice, and Nuke gave you 15. Other way around. And he said the lack of obsec really hurts this list heavily, and there's no invulnerable or feel no pain on the Sanguinary Guard, obviously. Yeah, I mean, you're right, a botched charge. How effective would this list be against Necrons? I mean, I guess it's a very broad question, right? Like, the last time I fought Necrons, for example, they had like 2 of those Katoon things, the Void Dragon and the Nightbringer, and they just had like 2 obsec transports with shitloads of Necron warriors all respawning on 5s. How would this list do against that then? I guess it would really struggle because you can only take 3 wounds per phase off the Catan, right? So you can't kill them in a single close combat phase, so you know they're going to attack back, and their powers are sort of ridiculous. So I guess it's hard for me to answer a question like how good would it do against Necrons when there's a million different options a Necron player could take, right? But I guess like if you are fighting Necrons and you are fighting against Catan, I guess, and I feel like Catan are going to be super popular at the moment just because I feel like they're a little bit broken, like they're so powerful. Their psychic, I know it's not their psychic powers, their Catan powers dwarf any sort of psychic powers that the other factions get at the moment, and they can just spew out mortal wounds like crazy. So if you are going to fight against Necrons and you're going to fight against like Catan, then you need ways to reliably deal multiple wounds to them in multiple phases. So I mean, the Las Cannons and the Sanguinary Guard would be able to do 6 wounds, but there's no real way to deal with that. I suppose one way to deal with it is if you take like a Psyker and you can maybe do some mortal wounds, or you can do some sort of debuff with the Psyker. But Necrons are in a difficult spot right now. If the Sanguinary Guard get in, they massacre Necron blobs. Do you know what? I have a friend that plays Necrons, and I haven't done a battle report against Necrons, so I'll try and have a game against. I'll I might actually be having a game against him this week. I'll see if he'll bring Necrons, and I'll see if he can bring something that I deem that's overpowered, like 2 of those Catan things, and you can see. I guess you can see how my list would do up against Necrons right now. Alright, so the next list is submitted by Cali Killed Nox Gaming. And let me double check. This is actually... It's a strike force. He hasn't said if it's a battalion, but we have a bunch of troop squads. Alright, so we're going to assume this is a battalion. So, as with every list at the moment, it seems like everybody's running Librarian Dreadnought. Like, no one's running Mephisto. Everybody's got Librarian Dreadnought. This list actually has the Primaris Chaplain on the bike, so that's interesting after we've just talked about it so much. It has Mantra of Strength, Invocation of Destruction, and Litany of Hate. So he didn't actually give him any relic or anything like that. He gave the relic to Librarian Dreadnought, the Biomantic Sarcophagus, and then we have the Sanguinary Priest, who basically everybody is running at the moment, and he's the jump pack and he's the Warlord, and I assume that he meant, like, he hasn't said it in his list, but I assume that he has the Warlord trait for the double heal, whatever that's called. Selfless Healer, right? Selfless Healer... I can't find it. I thought it was in one of these own sections. Anyway, alright, we'll assume that he is Selfless Healer. Maybe they've broken... Maybe Brattlescribe is broken again. I shouldn't have updated it. You know what? It was working pretty well after last week. I updated it today. And then 2 Encourager squads and 2 Inceptor squads. So the advantage of the Encourager squads, obviously, is they get concealed positions. And then, I guess, the Intercessor squads will be used to hold backfield objectives. The Intercessor squads are actually using the auto bolt rifles, so that's now 3 shots on close range, right? Like, I think it's 24 inches, no EP, and the Incursors are running with the Oculus bolt carbines. I don't actually know off the top of my head what the profile is of an Oculus bolt carbine. I don't run these guys that often. Alright, so the target can't use cover against them. I mean, I guess that's okay. It's nothing special. Alright, so we've got the 2 Receptors... Sorry, the 2 Intercessors, the 2 Incursors, and then for Elites, Relic Contemptor Dreadnought with Twin Las Cannon. Do you know what? The Relic Contemptor with Twin Las Cannon is interesting now. Like, it's obviously been heavily nerfed. It's got less wounds, it's got less of an armor save, it's got no feel, no pain, it's got no rerolls, it's got worse weapon skill. It's still exactly the same number of points. I'm struggling. Like, I have one of these models, I'm not really running it at the moment. He's also running a Sanguinary Ancient. Again, this has been nerfed pretty badly. It's running with the icon of the Angel. I've run it before where you need a model to carry the icon, and I guess that's okay, but yeah, I mean, like, it's a lot of points for a model that's only got a 2+ save and 4 wounds, right? You can only bring 1 Catan per detachment, Nuke, so you can actually bring 2 if you run 2 detachments. Well, Felix, I mean, I'd be interested to know if you want to submit a list to the channel with your list that you're playing and then your friend's Necron list, then I could maybe be more helpful. Yeah, the Relic Contemptor's been nerfed so bad. But yeah, I mean, I quite like a challenge of, like, you know, like, quite often I build my lists blind because what I'm trying to do when I'm building an army list, I'm trying to build a list that will fight against everything. But if you just want me to build a list that will beat your friend, then I'm happy to do that as well. For a 5-point difference, do you think the Incursor Haywire Mine one shot is better than the Infiltrator's 12-point bubble, as the weapon loadouts are better or worse? So I always run Infiltrators, and hello, Robin. Welcome to the stream. I always run Infiltrators, and it's actually 15 points, right? Infiltrators are 120 points. and they give you that 12-inch denial of deep strike. And I think that is like one of the strongest things. Somebody said to me they were like, incursors are better than infiltrators. I asked whoever said it, I was like, why do you think they're better? Because I don't think they're better. Enemy units set up on this battlefield cannot be set up within 12 inches of this unit. Basically means that if enemy is a close combat army, they will never be able to charge you on your backfield objectives. I mean, unless they roll a double six. But what's the chances of that? I think it's like 3% is the chance of rolling a double six. And I mean, who's actually going to drop down and try for that double six charge? It's like a desperation play. If they do actually make the play, then good for them, right? But like, it's never. If I was playing a game and I knew that I needed a 12-inch charge, I'd probably be looking at other options because I'd just be going, yeah, I'm not going to make that 12-inch charge. It's a stupid play to trying to make, right? And the infiltrators' guns are pretty cool as well, right? They auto wound on 6s when you hit, so each unmodified 6 is an automatic hit and it results in a wound. So you can shoot things like rhinos or enemy armor or whatnot and still do wounds with infiltrators, right? Just on your 6s. And if you're rapid firing with a squad of 5, you get 10 dice, so the chances of getting some 6s is I think you probably do like 2 or 3 auto wounds pretty reliably with it. And then you obviously roll with all your other wounds after. So I really like the infiltrators. I think they're a very solid squad choice. I don't know why people think incursors are better. Maybe it's the mine, but I've only actually seen that mine used once in a battle. And I think the enemy just decided not to go near the mine, so it never exploded. Yeah, infiltrators, I believe, are where we're at. So moving on, we talked about how Sanguinary Ancient has been nerfed as well, which is annoying. But I guess maybe the Blood Angel supplement's going to address this. And then for Sanguinary Guard, we've got a 5-man squad, a 4-man squad. The 4-man squad is just all bolters swords, that's fine. The 5-man squad is all 4 power fists. It's a bit. I'm going to talk about these 2 Sanguinary Guard units in a second, and then the Vanguard Veteran Squad is all Storm Shields and Thunderhammers, and he has 6 of them. And these guys have jump picks as well. Right. I would never build these squads like this. And I'll tell you why in a second, right? First of all, you're always going to take your wounds on your troops, right? Like it's a thing that happens every game. You're always gonna lose some troops, and also we put the Thunderhammer on the sergeant. So I think it's fine to have some Thunderhammers in a Vanguard Veteran squad, like 2, or I could even push myself to have 3 if you have a big squad. In a squad this size, you want 2, I think. The second you lose a model on this squad, you have to take off a 35-point model. It's mad, right? Like just lose 2 of these Thunderhammers, right? That's 24 points you just saved. Look how much a single guy costs with a chainsword. He costs 23. So now, rather than run 6 with Thunderhammers, you run 4 with Thunderhammers, and you run 3 chainsword guys to take the wounds on, right? And also, yeah, I mean, I guess you could get rid of the Ancient, but you should never run a squad like this where like every model is so expensive. Like you've got every model is a tough decision to take wounds on. I mean, maybe you could run it on like Terminators, like a 5-man squad of Terminators, and they're all Thunderhammer Storm Shield. I might be okay with that because they have the 1-up save and they have 3 wounds now. But on a Vanguard Veteran squad, they also get that really great stratagem, Melt-A-Bombs. And when you use Melt-A-Bombs, you actually need a shit model to use the Melt-A-Bombs with because you can't do anything else for that turn that he does the Melt-A-Bombs, right? So you want some Chainsword guys to take the wounds on. You also want them to be able to use the Melt-A-Bombs. And I feel like the Sergeant can take a Relic Blade, which straight away is 2 points cheaper than your Thunderhammer again. And the Relic Blade on the Sergeant is legitly great because the Sergeant hits on 3s and it's still Strength 7 and it's still -3 and it's 2 damage. So I think you want the Relic Blade on the Sergeant. So I think just doing that, you've saved like 20 odd points. You can get another guy in here, and then your first Sanguinary Guard squad with like 4 Power Fists in it. Again, it's mad. You should have like 2 or 3 Power Fists. If you've only got 5-man squads, I would say like you want half of them max with the Power Fists. Like now you've saved some from the Vanguard Veterans, you could almost add in. Well, for sure we could. We just saved 24 points. Change that. We saved another 2 points. We saved like 26 points. Lose one of the Power Fists. Add in another regular guy, and then you've got 3 Power Fists, 3 swords. I don't get why people like swords over axes either at the moment. The swords do have -1 more AP, but the axes are strength 6. So with the Red Thirst, you basically wound toughness 5 enemies on 2s. So if you talk about like enemies like Death Guard or Primaris Marines in Grav Armor, wounding them on 2s is like crazy strong, right? So axes to me are just better than swords right now. And also, if you run into some sort of vehicles, then your axes are probably going to be better again than the swords. And I think that you get enough attacks with Sanguinary Guard, that -1 AP doesn't make a huge difference. You're still forcing the enemies to save on like 5s. Or if they're on a really good save, you're forcing them onto their invulnerable save. So I think all 3 of these squads could be optimized to be better. And we have talked about how the Sanguinary Ancient is a bit shit, but maybe he'll get better with their Codex. We've got 2 squads of Outriders. I guess people are running Outriders. A lot of lists for Blood Angels focus on taking 6 Outriders, I guess, to hold a flank, to hold objectives, something like that. It's fine. I don't think they're anything special. I think that they really suffer after their devastating charge wears off. And they're also quite large models, so it can be quite hard sometimes to get all of them into an area to fight. Sure, why against toughness 7, toughness 8 Smithel? It makes no difference against that, sure, but you do get toughness 6 enemies, and I feel like the 2s to wound against the toughness 5 is just it's still 4+ to wound toughness 7 and 8, sure, but I think the axes give you more versatility. And if you think about enemy characters, you can quite often run into an enemy character, right, that's got like toughness 6 or Now that you speak about it, and I have to think for an enemy character off the top of my head that has toughness 6, but I was playing Death Guard a few weeks ago. I'm sure there was a toughness 6 enemy. Is it like Typhus? Maybe Typhus. Is he not toughness 6? Alright, no, for example, yeah, so toughness is toughness 5, for example. So if you were fighting toughness with Typhus with your Sanguinary Guard, if you had axes, you'd wound them on 2s, whereas if you had swords, you'd wound them on 3s. Like I said, the axes are still -2, so you're still going to push him onto his 4+ invulnerable save. And, if you've got 10 axes hitting on 2s against 10 swords hitting on 3s, like, against a character, that's a big deal, right? It's just my Demon Princes are toughness 6. Thank you. So yeah, Demon Princes as well. I guess you're wounding on them +1. But yeah, no. I just run axes. I have sword models, and they sit in the drawer, and I never use them. I only ever use them if I need like one more Sanguinary Guard, and I don't know. I guess you can decide if you think I'm wrong there, but quite often as well. Like if you think about it, Sanguinary Guard never get in combat in turn 1. If they do, then the enemy's probably fucked up and let you into combat in turn 1. So you're only in combat turn 2, 3, 4, 5. So in turn 3, 4, 5, it's -3 anyway, right? From the Assault Doctrine. So it's only going to be one turn that the -2 is really going to be make a difference, and even then it's so minor. But yeah, I guess that's just my opinion. Okay, so Outriders, yeah, they're 135 points per squad, and they do get a decent amount of attacks on the charge, right? Because you get 6 bonus attacks on the Devastation charge. The problem I have with Outriders is like, if the combat ever runs over more than one turn, then they really struggle, right? Like, because they're just 2 attacks plus a chainsword. So basically, after that, you just have 9 attacks from the 3 guys. And when you think of it, or actually, the sergeant get 1 more, so you get 10 attacks from the 3 guys. 10 chainswords is comparatively pretty weak, right? Like, it's weaker than like an assault intercessor squad. Quite a bit weaker, I guess. Assault intercessors would get like what, 12, 16 attacks. So if you don't kill your target in 1 turn, then the Outriders are actually like only about 60% as good as an assault intercessor squad. So running 1 squad of Outriders is like a no-go. Like, I just don't think it works. Running 2 squads, I haven't done it yet. I don't have 2 squads of Outriders. I'm waiting for an Indomitus box that comes this week. I might try it, but hey, Little V, welcome. Thanks for joining. I might try it, but like personally, like I know I saw a competitive 40k strategy tournament that apparently some guy won the tournament with Blood Angels running 2 squads of Outriders, and I was looking at him going like, I mean, are they just killing infantry at that point? Like, would a Death Company kill more? Yeah, I mean, arguably. I mean, I guess the Outriders are a little bit more survivable. But I mean, I'm just gonna leave these guys. If you guys want to comment on how effective or ineffective you think Outriders are, you can comment in the chat. But or do you know what? If anyone's seen a battle report that includes Outriders and they did a lot of work, then I'd be interested to see that, because when I ran them, I didn't feel like they did enough work for their points. But I was running them right at the beginning of 9th edition before Aggressors got changed, and Aggressors were exactly the same number of points, like 135 points for 3 Aggressors, and like the Aggressors just flat out destroyed Outriders. I'm not sure if Aggressors, I guess they're not viable now, and I guess there's strength and speed on the Outriders, but yeah, I don't think they're dumb. I just don't think that they're the strongest. Like 270 points for this squad of Aggressors. Like, this squad of Outriders. You could have such a huge squad of like Sanguinary Guard that could just do so much more. Or yeah, they're bullet sponges for you. Well, I mean, I guess they could be bullet sponges, and I guess they could be rezzed with your priest. So I mean, there is some options there. And then finally, his final choice is a squad of Eliminators. I guess he'd run out of points and he just had 90 points left to spend. Eliminators are in a funny place as well. Like, I don't think many people run them. I don't think people run them even for their shooty. Like I guess there's some Space Marine factions that get bonuses for shooting. Obviously, Blood Angels don't really get anything for that. But I've run Eliminators I've run Eliminators in 9th edition. They come in the exact same cost as a tactical squad, right? Or they did earlier in the edition when tactical squads were 15 points per man. And you could add like a las cannon to put it up to 90 points. I mean, your Eliminators can... I guess they can sit in an objective, they can shoot at targets, characters that they can't see, and they do have 36 inches. It's not enough shots to do anything considerably massive. I feel like 3 Eliminators are going to feel underwhelming in a battle. But I mean, maybe that's just dice rolls and stuff that I've done. Your friends are scared of Outriders. I mean, I guess you've got your friends confused because Outriders are really not that great. And yeah, I mean, you can try for the Devastating Charge. Obviously, that's what you want, but still. Chris has said that Outriders he's run them 3 times and they never do enough. Yeah, that's how I feel about Outriders. I ran them a bunch of times, probably 3 or 4 games, and I just never felt like they brought enough to the table for me. Especially 270 points for that. I mean, like, now you could actually run a Leviathan Dreadnought and have like 50 points left over. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term like Distraction Carnifex, but the Leviathan Dreadnought is just... The idea is that he is just a distraction, right? Like, he will soak up fire so that you're like more important units like your Sanguinary Guard or your Vanguard Veterans or whatever are not getting targeted. So if you have a Leviathan Dreadnought on the front lines with a Claw, for example, the Claw now gives him +1 attacks. He's strength 7, so on 2 times strength he's strength 14 now, right? And then with the Red Thirst, like if you get into range with that Claw, you're just going to do flat 3 damage and you're going to wound on 2s pretty much against anything in the game. Yeah, I mean, the enemy would need to be toughness 13, I think, for you to not be wounding on 2s. So, like, you could have, quote-unquote, a distraction Carnifex that is a Leviathan Dreadnought that's basically just on the front lines and he just advances or he just runs down the middle of the battlefield. If you're just wanting something to be a bullet sponge and let everything else get in there. I just haven't seen enough value out of the Outriders. I will try and run a Leviathan Dreadnought in a battle report now that the rules have changed. Because I have one and I'm actually going to run it with the new Volkite cannons. I'm going to drop the heavy flamers and try the new cannons because they sound kind of neat. I think it's like you'd get 8 shots. Do you know what? I've got it. 1 second, I'll tell you. Yeah, so you get to drop the 2 heavy flamers and take 2 of these. So 30 inches, heavy 8 essentially, strength 5, 2 damage a shot, no AP mind you, but 6s are mortal wounds, right? So like, I think a Leviathan Dreadnought armed with one of these, the Gravflux Bomb Badge, which has been made quite a bit better. So it's 2 to 6 shot, strength 8, -3. If the enemy has a 3+ wound characteristic, then it's a flat 3 damage, and then the Claw for 1 additional attack. So it's 5 attacks, so 6 attacks on the charge. Like that is, to me, that's going to be much more of a distraction than 2 squads of Outriders. And like I said, if Outriders don't kill anything, then without the devastating charge, they're not. You have to rely too hard on them killing enough in that first turn, and if you have a bad dice roll in that first turn, then you're kind of in a bad place, I feel like. And then Eliminators. Anybody have opinion? Does anyone run more than 1 squad of Eliminators? Because when I ran Eliminators, I felt like maybe if I ran more than 1 squad, they could be effective. But 1 squad of Eliminators just feels weak, in my opinion. Like, they'll maybe take a wound or 2 off of a character, they maybe take a wound or 2 off a squad, but they just... the Leviathan, has kept its invulnerable save. Eradicators are only 120 points right now, right? So, like, if you drop those Outriders and took a Leviathan Dreadnought, you could replace those Eliminators with Eradicators. Or at least the Eradicators, deal out a solid amount of damage, and they get they get double the shots of these guys, essentially. So yeah, let's have a look at scoring up this list. How is it going to do with holding objectives? Well, the fact that it's got 2 Incursors and 2 Intercessors, I guess, I feel... And I suppose your Relic Contemptor can sit on an objective as well and just hold the back line, shooting out its las cannons every turn. So I feel like with 4 obsec choices, you can probably get a 4 for that. Anti-infantry, I guess, obviously your troops can deal with infantry. The Sanguinary Guards sort of could with their bolters. I guess the Outriders could as well. Eliminators not so much. Anti-infantry, I guess, probably would be looking at maybe, I think a 4, but I think maybe that's a tad generous. Anti-vehicle effectiveness, I think this list is going to struggle against vehicles. You can have that 1 squad of Vanguard Vets, and I guess your 1 small squad of Sanguinary Guard with Power Fists. Librarian Dreadnought could get across the battlefield. It might not. The Chaplain, again, could get across the battlefield. I think there's better choices for the Chaplain in terms of, like warlord traits and heroes of the chapter and stuff. Like, you could do a lot with this guy. I think I'll probably do a video on him pretty soon so people realise just the amount of options that this guy has. Like Benediction of Fury, you can make his weapon do a flat 3 damage and have 6s do mortal wounds. That's definitely interesting. But anti-vehicle I think is maybe like 3.5. Maybe even 3. You know, if the enemy know that the only thing you've really got are those Thunderhammers on that Vanguard Veteran squad, they're just going to shoot them off the board pretty early. We'll sort of stay with 3, I think. And I think at the moment, I just can't see value in the Sanguinary Ancient. You know, like, he basically costs the same as 4 Sanguinary Guard. I would drop him and put 2 Sanguinary Guard into both of these squads. I mean, like, the Sanguinary Guard get a bonus if they're near the Warlord, so either give the Priest the hero of the chapter and make someone else the Warlord, like your Primaris Chaplain on the bike, and have them go with him. And I guess if he was the Warlord, then he could easily carry the Icon of the Angel as well, so you could just, if that's something that you feel like you need, you could move it on to here. Mobility, I mean, I guess as it stands, you're fairly mobile with Outriders, and yeah, I mean, like, I guess mobility 4, but then, do you know what? Yeah, specialization. I think I'm going to give you a bit of a lower score for specialization because I think this list can deal with a lot of infantry. I think the Relic Contemptor is going to struggle now, like, with his lower ballistic skill. Like, he's just not as much... He doesn't do his reliable damage anymore. You can never re-roll either, because... Oh, actually, he may be core, actually. I think the Relic Contemptor did keep the core keyword. It was just Leviathan that lost it. So, maybe the specialization isn't so bad. We'll say 3. And I guess that gives you a score of 18.5. Yeah, in the chat they're saying take an Assassin instead of Eliminators. Yeah, I mean, totally. Why not something like a Vindicator Assassin that could be dropped in? The Vindicator gets a 3d6 charge, and he could... If you're trying to kill a character, then, or if you're trying to remove things off the backfield, then he could definitely do that. Destruction Carnifex needs an invulnerable save. Yeah, I mean, Leviathan still has his 5+ invulnerable save, and he's got Duty Eternal, right? Power Fists onto the Sergeants and the Intercessor squads. Yes, I think we've talked about this a lot in my streams, that it's always good to have some sort of better weapon in the squads just to deal with a threat that you might not normally face. Does anyone have a score for Kali's list then, out of 25, based on the following reasons? And if so, let me know what you think. Well, the only reason to take the Relic Contemptor now is the regular Contemptor only gets 2 weapon options, right? It can have a claw and a Kera's Pattern Assault Cannon, or it can have a claw and a multi-melta. So if you want to run like Twin Las Cannons or anything like that, then you need to take the Relic. That's just the way that they've made the rules for the Relic Contemptor now, I guess. Okay, so Nukem gave you 19. He said that he likes the number of model counts in the unit, and he likes the fact that you can probably bully the board a little bit. I mean, I guess I can agree with that to a certain extent. I guess it just depends on what you run into, of course. But I mean, I guess you depend on that in every battle, right? But it does give you a lot of ways to get around the board and potentially hold the board as well. And we know 9th edition is so important about holding objectives, right? Like the whole game, or all the points, pretty much. They pretty much rely on you holding stuff nowadays. The MSU can drop anywhere, can squeeze the models in so they could appear in places as much as the enemy doesn't want them. Eradicators are much less scary if they're getting buried in Sanguinary Guard. Yeah, I mean, okay. I hope that helps. I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess leave me a comment below if it doesn't help, or it's a pretty tricky list actually. Like, I guess it's just my lack of running Outriders makes it difficult, because I've never seen Outriders perform as well as I want them to in a battle. Okay, so next up list then, and this list is by Michael Wall. We start with a captain. He's going to wear a jump pack, a relic blade, a storm shield. He's going to be a hero of the chapter. Apparently, Battlescribe doesn't have hero of the chapter set up to work it properly at the moment. And then he's got the Imperium sword that gives him the +1 charge, and I'm not seeing it. Apparently, Battlescribe is broken at the moment. Anyway, it's supposed to be Artificer Armour, Jump Pack, Relic Blade, Storm Shield, Hero of the Chapter, and Imperium Sword. Oh, here it is. Imperium Sword, and then Artificer Armour, wherever that was. Artificer Armour actually seems like a strange choice, because it gives him 2+, 5+ invulnerable. He already has a 4+ invulnerable, so you get no advantage out of taking that. You'd be better off taking the Indomitus Armour, which gives you the 2+ save, 1 additional wound, and then once per game you can choose a single phase to get a 3+ save. So I think you'd be better off taking that straight off, or take Adamantium Mantle to give you the 5+ feel no pain. So one of those two choices straight away would be better choice than the Artificer Armour that you've chosen. But I guess I'll leave that up to you. We have a Chaplain in a Terminator Armour. Cool, so that's probably the new model. He has the Canticle of Hate. I've picked Captain in Terminator Armour. Chaplain in Terminator Armour. So everybody takes Canticle of Hate, of course. We take a Combi Melta, which is an interesting choice. Gives them the option to get some wounds off with that Meltagun when he deep strikes. We take the Icon of the Angel, so we can do some re-rolling on the charges. Icon of the Angel has been changed a little bit, so you can choose to re-roll either dice, so it's much more strong than it was before. And then he also takes the Rights of War Warlord trait, which is also great because it basically makes everything around him objective secured. So if you're deep striking in this Chaplain and then you're charging and you're landing on an objective, you can essentially steal it from the enemy. And then we have a lieutenant, a single lieutenant, with a jump pack, a mastercrafted bolt gun, and a power fist. Okay. I have never seen this run before, but I mean, jump pack, mastercrafted bolt gun, sorry, and was it a power sword? Power sword. Okay, I mean, I guess it's just another jump character with the potential to do a bit of damage. Interesting choice, and I guess the lieutenant does give you those re-rolls on ones as well. So I mean, they could drop in together. I guess we'll find out if he did. He leave me a comment on how the list is played? No, Michael. Hey Joe, welcome to the chat. Michael, if you're in the room, if you've got an army list for me, then if you go back to the start of this video when the live stream's over, I show you at the start. I'll show you guys at the end as well how to submit an army list if you have any questions about that. Right, so then we get into troops, and this list is full of troops. We have intercessor squads, 2 of them, and then we have 4 tactical squads. Jeez, okay. Interesting start. I mean, like, I guess he's going for the full 5 points for the OBSEC. So any of these tactical squads have anything special weapon-wise? Well, yes, I guess. One tactical squad has the sergeant with a heavy... Sorry. One tactical squad has a sergeant with a power fist. I think you'd probably have to drop his bolt pistol to take the power fist. Let me double check. One tactical squad has a heavy bolter. I mean, I guess... I don't know. I mean, I guess I was thinking maybe he's running the heavy bolter to use that stratagem where you get... you can do mortal wounds with the heavy bolter, but I don't know. We have one tactical squad with a... Oh, I've messed something up here. Another one with a power fist, and then the fourth tactical squad is a missile launcher. Okay. I'm not sure about running this many tactical squads. It's not something that I've seen in forever, I guess. People tend to just run like the bare minimum of troop choices, but okay. And then for elites, let's jump on. We're looking at Sanguinary Guard, and we've got 6 in the first squad, and they're all with swords, except we've got 2 infernal pistols. So we've just heavily been over why I think axes are better than swords. I like the fact that we've got a couple of infernal pistols in the list, though, because it's a potential lot of damage those infernal pistols can dish out. And we've got another one again with 6 swords. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's fine to run the swords. I just think the axes are stronger, and I think that I just think the axes are going to give you more chance of getting those good wound rolls, and I don't think the AP difference makes really any difference throughout the game. I think the difference between -2 and -3 is very minor. And then I guess I would have liked to have seen some power fists, and I do like 8-man squads of Sanguinary Guard as well. What is the single most important model to add after Indomitus? So I guess Mega is Indomitus the only units you have right now. Yeah, I mean, the Sanguinary Priest with the Chief Apothecary upgrade, we all know how good that is. I think it's probably going to get nerfed at some point. I guess we'll see. Now we've got a big Vanguard Veteran squad next. Vanguard Veteran squad. It's got 2, 4, 6. It's got an 8-man squad. Oh shit, that's just regular veterans. I'm looking for Vanguard veterans. And I like what he's done here. We've got 2 with Thunderhammers and Storm Shields. And then beyond that, now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with just chainswords and storm shields. So I guess, Michael, if you've been watching the stream for a while, you've been paying attention. This is a great squad, right? You've got those Thunderhammers that you can deal out a ton of damage with, and you've got a ton of easy, low-cost units to take wounds on, and also, I guess, you know, with the chainsword giving them that +1 extra attack, they're still gonna do something. It's not like they're totally useless. And then the sergeant taking the relic blade and actually an infernal pistol. Do you know what? I like this actually. Can the Vanguard sergeant take it? Oh, all right. You've just. Oh, I need to change my Vanguard veteran sergeant to have an infernal pistol now. I didn't realise that was an option for them. There's no reason. I feel like there's no reason for him to run the Storm Shield if the rest of the squad are running the Storm Shield, right? Because you're going to take all the wounds on the rest of the squad, on the easy chain guys, and then you have that Infernal Pistol on the Sergeant. This is a great idea. I love it. I was actually thinking of buying another box of Vanguard Veterans to make some with Lightning Claws as well, because Lightning Claws are really cheap, and they would let you reroll all your wounds, you know. just 3 points a model in here as well on the lightning claws. So you could take a couple with lightning claws, but yeah, I'm gonna have to. I was gonna buy a box to make some with lightning claws and also have some more chainsaw guys to take wounds on. But cool, thank you for sharing this list. That's gonna make my thing. That's gonna make my Vanguard Veteran squad a little bit stronger. Yeah, the sergeant will be the last one to remove. Yeah, that's brilliant. I'm trying to think if I had the Indomitus box and that was the only thing I had for Blood Angels, and what would I buy next? I would say, why don't you buy the Dreadnought box? I feel like if you go what, like, this list does not have the Librarian Dreadnought, but just about every other list at the moment is running the Librarian Dreadnought. He's a very solid HQ choice. He's essentially a Psyker with the ability to get 24-inch range, which is better than pretty much any other Psykers that are going to be on the table against him. And we are going to get new psychic powers, I believe, in the new book very soon. So the Librarian Dreadnought feels like a really solid choice. The other solid choice, I guess, that everybody's running right now is Sanguinary Guard. And Sanguinary Guard are good even in their old regular form. I know a lot of people are wanting Primaris Sanguinary Guard, but the problem with Sanguinary Guard is you really need 8, I feel like, to make a good size squad of them. I know some people run 6s, and I think 6s to 9s seem to be the most common, but you only get, I think you get 5 in a box, so you need to buy 2 boxes of Sanguinary Guard Mega. So I guess look at your budget and see Librarian Dreadnought or Sanguinary Guard seem like 2 of your the strongest choices. If you're not sure when you're going to buy, then I have 2 battle reports coming up on the channel this week and next, and both of them include Librarian Dreadnoughts and Sanguinary Guard, so you could actually watch those games and see how they do on the table and make a call after that. But they are like core things for Blood Angels, and I guess the successor chapters. You said successor, didn't you? Yeah, so because you're a successor, you probably won't ever run Mephiston, so the Librarian Dreadnought is probably going to be the best thing to buy. Because he's obviously not a named character, so you can use him for your successor. And right now, I guess he's actually a little bit stronger than Mephiston. I guess things may change with the new codex, but I think even throughout the whole of the last edition, Mephiston and Librarian Dreadnought, it was like 50-50 which one is better. Okay, and then we have an attack bike squad, which is just basically 2 attack bikes with multi-meltas. I have these bikes. I haven't run them much yet. Sorry, this is a 2-man's. But I do like the idea of running them. The multi-meltas obviously are strong, and you could easily. These things are so cheap, Michael. You can bring them in from reserve, right? I think like an attack bike. I think I checked it. It's like 2 power level or something, right? Like they're super cheap. Let me just double check. Yeah, attack bikes are 2 power level. So if you could have 3 of those bikes coming in, and it's going to cost you 1 CP, and then you've got 12 multi-melta shots. You do take the -1 to hit when you move with these, so you would take -1 to hit when you arrive from strategic reserve, right? Because you're not a vehicle. But still, I still think it's a really interesting and strong option. And then you have regular bike squads. And each of the regular bike squads actually includes another attack bike with multi-meltas. Okay, is that right? Yeah. How much is a bike squad? How many power level is that? 5 power level. Oh, yeah, 5 power level. Okay, so yeah, you could do some sort of janky reinforcements with the attack bikes and bring them all in, and you could definitely outflank the enemy. That could be pretty neat. I kind of like this actually. I mean, I prefer that to Outriders actually. If you talk about them only being 10 points more than Outriders, let me just jump over here 1 second and let's look at actually bike squads. What do they get compared to Outriders? So yeah, I mean they get a pretty low number of attacks. I guess they're running chain swords. But I mean they do have the twin bolt guns, which are rapid fire, so you get the sort of same number of shots, you just don't get the -1 like the twin bolt rifles would get. But then obviously you just throw in some multi-meltas just because... so it's the same rapid fire, you just lose 1 AP, but then you're mixing in some multi-meltas, you still have about the same number of chain swords. And I think the meta as it stands, like, multi-meltas are just crazy strong, right? I feel like they maybe Games Workshop push the multi-meltas a little bit too heavily. I guess we'll find out. Okay. So the Melta bikes are outflanking into Melta range. Joe, I'll mention at the end of the stream how you can submit a list. Yeah, I love the idea of putting the Vanguard veteran onto the Infernal Pistol. Yeah, I mean, that's such a good option. I feel sad that I didn't do that now because the Vanguard veteran squad I made is all about that. Do you know what? Like, I literally, speaking of, like, I literally have a Death Company guy here that I was making to be the last member of the squad with a Power Fist and Infernal Pistol. So, Infernal Pistols. They're amazing right now. I think, as I say, they've pushed Meltagun / Infernal Pistols a little bit too far. Okay, so Michael, interesting list. If you guys have anything that you want to say, if I build my Blood Angels as successors, are the disadvantage big enough to not be competitive? I don't think they are. I think successor chapters right now, Funky, actually give you loads of little options that you could use. You get to pick, obviously, 2 chapter traits, and you can customize them to basically 100% suit your playstyle. All you're really going to lose access to are named characters, of which the new chapter master upgrades, or no, they're not chapter master upgrades. What are they called? Those chapter command, right? The new chapter command stuff. If you have the Space Marine Codex, it's on page 98. The new chapter command stuff basically lets you build special characters now. So I think the Space Marine Codex gives you tons of options to make a successor chapter. I actually think some of them could be a little bit stronger than the Blood Angels. I am thinking about building my own chapter master that I think will be more survivable than Dante. I guess it's up to you, but I don't think you're penalised really at the moment for being a successor chapter. So, yeah, I mean, I guess this list is complete. I must have missed something, though, because it doesn't quite add up to 2,000 points, or Battlescribe has their own points again. Let me just quickly double check. There was the 2 intercessor squads, there was the 4 tactical squads, then there was the 2 Sanguinary Guard squads, the Vanguard Veteran squad. I think because I removed some. Or did I remove anything out of this? No. I missed a guy. 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. No. And then the attack bites, 110 points. Oh yeah, I'm missing something down here. The Biker Sergeant has a Thunderhammer. Interesting. I didn't even know the Biker Sergeant could have a Thunderhammer. I think the Thunderhammers are overcosted, man. You know that? Like, 15 points for the Thunderhammer just seems a lot. I mean, I've been running Power Fists on my Death Company. Like, it's annoying because I painted Thunderhammers last edition, and I'm now back on the table. I mean, I guess I just showed you that I was painting a power, or started making a Power Fist guy. Thunderhammers for 15 points seems like a lot, but I mean, I guess it's fine that you run them. I guess just be aware that, like, I think a Power Fist is a very good option right now. You know, like, for example, my Death Company are running 5 guys and one has a Power Fist. I think if I was running like intercessor squads, it would be the same. It would be like 5 guys and one has a power fist. I'm not sure the 15 points for the Thunderhammer is really needed on there, but I guess that's your prerogative. If you can't find better places to put the points, then go for it. Right. So let's see what we thought this list scores like. Objective holding. Like I guess you're not holding objectives with any armor. It's just tactical squads, and I guess you would be vulnerable to like enemies with like hard units like Terminators that are going to charge you, or I guess like Seraphim from Sisters of Battle dropping in, or some sort of other big enemy units. So like I wanted to say your obsec is really strong, but you've got nothing super strong able to sit back and hold. So it's kind of a 4 or a 4.5. I'm struggling a little bit with that. I'm going to say 4. I feel like maybe one of these tactical squads would be better swapped out for some sort of armour that can hold objective as well. Whirlwind's an interesting choice at the moment, because Whirlwind can obviously deny any Overwatch. If the enemy had something that was really strong in Overwatch, then you can deny it. And Whirlwind's only like 10 more points than one of these, right? So you could drop one of those Thunderhammers that we talked about for Power Fists and pick up a Whirlwind. So maybe like objective holding is like 4. Anti-infantry hordes. I mean, your bikes get a lot of shots, right? I think you've got 8 bikes, and each bike would get 4 shots. So you can do like 30 some damage here. You can rapid fire with all these things. You've got no real like big assault weapons, but I think you can deal with infantry well enough. Like I think you can clear enough to justify something like a 4. Anti-vehicle. I mean, all the multi-melters coming in is decent. Obviously, if they come in as reserves, it's -1 to hit, so you're only hitting on 4s. And what have you got? 4 multi-melters, so it's 8 shots. So you're only really going to hit 4 of them reliably. I guess your captain can do some anti-armor. The chaplain and Terminator armor could do a bit of anti-armor. These Sanguinary Guard had infernal pistols. They could do some anti-armor. I really don't like the swords, but I mean, like, if you've been watching the whole stream, you can decide if you like the swords enough or not. You've got the infernal pistol and the Vanguard Vet on the last squad. So I mean, your anti-armor's kind of decent. I mean, you're going to have to get close for it to be effective. But yeah, I mean, I guess like maybe it's a 4 as well. Mobility. The bike's obviously mobile, so are the Sanguinary Guard, the Vanguard Veterans. All your characters are mobile as well, so the only things that are not mobile are the things you're probably going to be holding objectives with. So I think mobility, like I don't know what the category within my list grading is for getting 5s, right? Like I'm not even sure like my lists that I make myself are getting 5s for all these things. But I guess overall, I think if you're like 4s across the board, then I feel like it's a balanced, stable list. And then specialised, is it too specialised? Does it focus too much on one thing or anything like that? I don't think so. I mean, maybe slightly too many tactical squads or troop squads. Maybe one of them could be switched out. Or maybe one could just be removed and the other squads could be given some better options, right? Like get those power fists on those intercessor sergeants so that they can always attack back. Maybe even you could pick up some flamers on the tactical squads, right? So like the tactical squads, if they get charged, you know you're getting D6 shots from those flamers. You could do something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, I would say the specialization is decent as well. I think I'm going to give it a 4. I think you're like 4s across the board. I think this list is like a solid 20. I think you might struggle with certain things, right? Like because you have no armor, So if you come up against like an armor heavy list that's going to be able to delete quite a few units before you can do much, then I guess you will struggle against certain things. But overall, I guess I think it's a 20. If anyone in chat wants to grade the list, please feel free to throw in a number. And if you've got any suggestions for Michael, then if you want to throw them in there as well, that would be great. Good evening, Commander. How you doing, man? Thank you for joining the stream today. We're just getting on to another army list. And let me just check what it is. It's a battalion, good. Okay, so this is a battalion. I'm going to call this guy Merch. He's in the streams quite often. I think I saw him in here earlier, so thanks for tuning in today, Merch. If you have any... Cool, you've actually left me a list. So what we'll do real quick then is we'll build the whole list, then we'll read your comments, and then we'll talk about the stream, and then I will catch up in chat right after I've built the list. So we have 2 additional Relics of Baal. I think Battlescribe has these incorrectly. The Relics of the Chapter just cost 1 CP to take now. So if you take 2, it used to be -3. Now it's just -2. So just be aware of that. I didn't realise that until like maybe a week ago or something like that. We've got a Chaplain who has the Recantation of Focus and the Canticle of Hate. He has a Bolt Gun. He's the Master of Sanctity. He has a Crozius. He has Icon of the Angel. This guy's stacked to the teeth, it seems like. He's a Jump Pack. And he has the Hero of the Chapter, which I guess Battlescribe isn't got there right now. And then he has the Wise Orator thing to let our litanies go off on 2s. Okay, and then we also have a Chapter Master. Interesting. So the Chapter Master is of Captain, obviously, who's been updated to Chapter Master for 40 points. He's a Jump Pack, a Mastercrafted Bolt Gun, Teeth of Terra, and the Warlord. Okay, Jump Pack, Mastercrafted Bolt Gun. I think that's probably included in standard Mastercrafted Bolt Gun. And then you would need a Chainsword, which we can upgrade to the Teeth of Terra somewhere. Here we go. So he gets quite a lot of attacks, I guess. The Teeth of Terror obviously gives you 3 additional attacks, and what is it? Strength 5 -2 damage. So I think a captain normally starts with 4 attacks. So this guy would get like 8 attacks on the charge, and he is a Chapter Master. Okay, and then we have like a regular librarian. Is it? Yeah, a regular librarian who's been upgraded to the Chief Librarian. Upgrading 3 of them like this is a bit mad. He has Veil of Time, Null Zone, and Psychic Fortress. Veil of Time, Null Zone, Psychic Fortress. He also has a Jump Pack. And then he also has, I guess it'll be a Warlord trait, and I think it's Psychic Mastery, which adds 1 to all your Psychic rolls, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, +1 to all your Psychic tests. Okay, so 3. The guy who was asking about successor chapters just a few minutes ago, before you couldn't do this, right? So now you can make these characters and you can make them unique, and you can use them totally. So I think successors is totally viable at the moment. In terms of troops, we have 4 squads of assault intercessors. We're just gonna make the whole list and then check in on the end, I guess. Primaris Apothecary, so we can do some healing. We have 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. 2 with heavy onslaught cannons, 2 with no, that's Redemptor, sorry. Redemptor. So 2 have the heavy onslaught cannon, 1 has the macro plasma incinerator. They all have frag storms. They all have rocket pods. And they all have onslaught cannons. So, rocket pods, onslaught cannons, frag storm, onslaught cannons, rocket pods, onslaught cannons. Okay, so I mean, I guess in terms of destroying infantry, these guys are going to rip infantry apart. Obviously, that's pretty cool. We've got Vanguard Veteran Squad, and Vanguard Veteran Squad, 2 with Power Fists, Storm Shields, 2 with Lightning Claws and Storm Shields, 1 with a Chainsword and Storm Shield, and then the Sergeant with a Power Fist and Storm Shield. Okay, so I mean, I guess you've got one model in there that's quite cheap, so you could take some wounds on. I'd probably drop one of the Lightning Claws and get the Relic Blade on the Sergeant, though, just because I think that the Relic Blade is, like, super good right now, because you don't have the -1 to hit. And then you have the Lightning Claws, so you would just need to drop 1 Lightning Claw. I mean, I guess you could find some more points somewhere else in your list to get those 2 points extra to take. I think that put 2 Power Fists on. I'm pretty sure you can't do that. Power Fist, Storm Shield, Power Fist, Storm Shield, Lightning Claw, Storm Shield, Lightning Claw. I think I put 1 too many Lightning Claw. I think this was supposed to be a Chainsword. And then your Sergeant with the Power Fist and the Storm Shield. And then Attack Bikes. So this is the second list in a row with a bunch of it. Oh, it's just 1 Attack Bike, sorry. Attack Bike with the Multi-Melta. I mean, I think it's too good to not throw that Multi-Melta on those bikes now, right? You have 2 Assault Squads. Interesting. No one's sent any lists with Assault Squads before today, so that's cool. And how have you got the Assault Squads? You've put a Power Sword on the Sergeant. And then everyone else is just Bolt Pistol and Chainsword. I think that Battle Scribe has maybe not got the points right on these. These guys are a little bit more expensive than it says it is. Power Sword. Power Sword. And then a Devastator Squad with 1 heavy weapon, and it's a heavy bolter. I mean, at that point, if it's just got the 1 heavy weapon in it, rather than make it a Devastator Squad, make it a Tactical Squad and it's OBSEC, right? There's the only difference would be you can't use the Sergeant to actually that Devastator Squad is invalid, right? Because Devastator Squad needs to take. You need to put 4 heavy weapons into a Devastator Squad, so your last choice there, I guess, Merch, is actually an invalid pick. So I guess you just need to be wary of that. I mean, make it a Tactical Squad if you're just taking a heavy bolter. How do I feel about this list? Then let me catch up on the chat real quick. Oh, cool. So somebody came back and gave Michael, he gave your list a 20.5. That was Nukem. He thinks that intercessors and tacticals are split up in combat squads so they could easily collapse an objective. Yep. A couple of War Gear tweaks. Yeah, people think you could actually get this up to 21 with a couple of tweaks. Of course, you can send me a list, Joe. I'll tell you at the end of the game, at the end of the stream, how you can send lists. That's not a problem. Maybe a Tech Marine with Master of the Forge in this list. I guess with all those dreadnoughts, yeah, having a way to repair them might be interesting. You really like your chapter upgrades against, I guess, Merch. If you can bind the Relic Blade with Imperium Sword, you get Strength 8, -3/2 damage. Yeah, the Imperium Sword gives you +1 attack, +1 strength on the charge. It's really quite nice. And yeah, I mean, I guess that is one of the best combos at the moment for a captain. Yeah, very much. I very much think that is one of the best combos. Okay, so how do we feel about March's list? 4 squads of Assault Interceptors seems strange to me. I mean, I love Assault Interceptors, but I don't think we can reliably run 4 squads because you're essentially going to need some of these squads to sit in your own deployment zone and hold objectives, right? If you're sitting in your own deployment zone holding objectives with guys that have an 18-inch pistol, those guys are going to do shit all game. They're just going to sit there with their 18-inch pistol doing nothing. I guess this is why intercessors can be a good choice, because they can have guns that give them up to 30 or 36-inch range, so they can just sit on that objective and they can still shoot every turn. Infiltrators, I guess, can be good because you get the deep strike prevention. I'd love to be able to run 4 squads of Assault Interceptors. I just don't think it's going to work how you think it's going to work. You're going to end up with these guys sitting on objectives and they're not able to do anything. I've been in games that has that, and typically up until recently I was running 2 squads of Assault Interceptors, I think, and now I'm just running 1. I just think the Infiltrators and the Inceptors, they're so important to have useful utility in the back line. So, I mean, that's where I'll start. I mean, I think Infiltrators are one of the strongest units that we can get right now. Even if they don't particularly feel Blood Angels, they're just so strong, that 12-inch deep strike denial. Just any sort of, like someone was saying earlier, like, what about an assassin? Well, every Imperium army can take an assassin for 100 points, right? An assassin can usually, like, the Vindicator Assassin can drop in. He's got a 4-shot pistol that does like mortal wounds, I think, and then he can charge on 3d6. So if he's 9 inches away and he's got 3d6, he's probably going to get you. If he's 12 inches away, then I feel like your chances of him not getting you are much better. And yeah, I would like to run 4 squads of Assault Intercessors. I just don't think you can. These 3 Dreadnoughts, because they're core, I like the Redemptor Dreadnought. I mean, he got a buff, actually, in that he became core, and he is still got his Duty Eternal, like his permanent Duty Eternal, and they're 13 wounds. And these guys with these assault cannons, they're just going to rip through infantry. The Macroplasma got buffed as well. And I guess, I mean, you could do something funky where you're running a Librarian with the Psychic Fortress to give all these guys a 5+ save, invulnerable save. I mean, I guess you can do that as well with Librarian Dreadnought, and it can be pretty effective. So, it's a lot of points to spend on Dreadnoughts, but I mean, these guys are also really good in melee. Their fist got buffed, right? So it's like a flat 6 damage on their fist. Or, sorry, I thought it was flat 6. It's D3 plus 3, so it's 4 to 6 damage on their fist. So if the enemy get within charge range of these guys, then those things can do a world of hurt. Those fists are like strength 14 as well, and it'll be +1 to wound. So again, you're just about wound anything on 2s. You can spend that 1 CP to use Wisdom of the Ancients and get the aura up. I like that a lot. The assault squads, they're kind of interesting. I'm not sure you need 2 of them. I'd maybe have 1 assault squad and 1 death company. I suppose, because if you're going to be using them for the Melta-Bombs, which is arguably one of their strongest reasons to be on the board, you can't use the same stratagem twice in a single phase. So you can't use 2 Melta-Bombs on 2 different targets from 2 different squads, right? So maybe you need 1 squad of assault guys and 1 squad of death company, but then the death company are good at taking out infantry, which I guess you don't need to worry about with all this other stuff. But I think you have to make some changes here. I think as much as you want to run 4 squads of assault intercessors, I think you're gonna end up in problems because of it. The 1 multi-melta with the Tat Bike, I mean, it's fine. It can pop shot at some things, and maybe it can take something out. But again, it's I guess it could be reserved, but I mean, it's a high risk, high reward play, I guess. And then your Devastator squad, because that's not 100% valid right now, I guess it's hard to really focus and say auto bolt rifles for mobility and volume of shots, bolt rifles for midfield objectives, stalkers for back. Yeah. So, sorry, yeah, you're right. If Eviscerator Assassin is the one I'm talking about, the one with it has the pistol and he does the 3d6 charging. It allows the Dreadnoughts casting the aura. Yeah, I mean, it says all units within 6, right? And he is core, so I don't see any reason that it wouldn't allow him to... Wisdom of the Ancient should affect himself. Yeah, it says a friendly chapter is within 6 of this model. Well, he is friendly and he is within 6, so I think in the old edition anyway, you would say, yes, he can be affected by his own aura, so I think it is valid now, Lagmeister. Yeah, I mean, this list is a little bit clunky, I feel like, and I think it's going to get hung up. In one of the battle reports I did last month, I actually trialled heavy intercessors with like the 42-inch rifles, and I think they're great for holding backfield as well. Like they're really strong, but like I think that's the problem here. One of these squads needs to be dropped for a backfield holding objective squad, because you need OBSEC troops on your objectives. And I guess it's as much as I like assault intercessors, and I have painted them, and I think they're painted really well. I was actually putting transfers on them today. Let me grab one of them. I just want to show them off. As much as I like these guys, let me see if I can actually get them in focus. Doesn't look like it. As much as I like these guys and how cool I think they might be, I just don't think we can run. They just sit on objectives and they don't do anything, and then they get shot to death. You want something that you can put in cover and it can just dish out fire each turn, and also potentially you want something that you can auspex scan with as well, right? If you've got some sort of squad that can auspex scan, then you can really you can prevent those deep strikes as well. And 5 shots from bolt pistols is not going to dissuade anyone from deep striking. Maybe 10 rapid fire shots from a bolt rifle, or like you said, the auto bolt rifles now, 15 shots. Maybe 15 shots from the auto bolt rifles could dissuade someone from deep striking a little bit. Definitely better than the 5 pistol shots anyway. So 100% getting 10 heavy intercessors to babysit objectives. Do you know what? I don't know if I want 10, but I did actually run a squad of 8 of them, and they fought Mortarion. Like he charged them, and like Mortarion like killed 2 of them or something. Like he couldn't believe how few of them he killed, and then they did like, I want to say they did like 6 wounds back, and you know they're just punching Mortarion with their fists. And my friend was like, "Holy crap, what are those?" And I was like, "They're just heavy intercessors." I obviously proxied them for the game, but yeah, Smithel, I think you're right. You need to swap. My list right now is 2 squads of infiltrators and 1 squad of assault intercessors. All right, so let's have a look at this. So objective holding, I'm gonna say it's like a 3, just because I've mentioned it a few times. You've got problems there. How are you doing against anti-infantry? Well, I mean, if you did actually run this list and you have all these chainsword attacks and you have all these dreadnoughts, and you have assault squads going into close combat, I think that your anti-infantry is generally it's probably the strongest part of this list. Your anti-vehicle is weak, I guess. Like, you've got that 1 random multi-melta. You maybe have these 1 or 2 characters that you can get in. You have the Vanguard veterans, and then you have the dreadnoughts, which I guess enemies are not going to let you get in close combat with, or they're going to know that those dreadnought fists are a problem. So I'd say like your anti-vehicle is like a 3.5. I mean, it's maybe even pushing a 3, just because I feel like the enemy's not going to be stupid enough to get near those dreadnoughts. I suppose it depends on how you deploy them, but the advantage of the strength of all those dreadnoughts and all those cannons is going to be using Wisdom of the Ancients, or going to be using some sort of bubble where they can all re-roll, so they're going to be together on the table. Or at least they're going to be most effective if they're together on the table, so you're going to struggle with that. Your mobility, I guess the mobility is average. Your characters can all jump around. Your Vanguard veterans can jump around, and the assault squads can jump around, but you know, it's probably like half your army, and I feel like if you've if you've made these three characters so strong to like jump around and do combat with, they need something backing them up that is also strong. And one small squad of Vanguard veterans is not going to be it. Maybe if one squad of assault troops is with them, then that's better. But at that point, would you not just want to take a death company for the feel no pain? So I guess like mobility, I think, is 3.5, and then specialized. Well, I think you're heavily specialized in killing infantry, and you're not overly specialized in holding obsec stuff, and you're definitely. I think gone are the days where like one character can jump in and kill a vehicle, right? Like that used to be a thing where I had, like I had a Smash Captain, for example, and he had a Thunder Hammer, and you used to be able to put him in the Death Company, and you used to play Red Rampage on him, and you used to be able to jump in and early in the game and have like 8 or 9 attacks or something, and then you could attack again, right? And you used to be able to buff the Thunder Hammer to 4 damage. I mean, I guess you can still do a bunch of that stuff, but you used to re-roll because he was a captain. So you used to be able to take a 130-point character and jump him off and kill a vehicle, and even kill like a super heavy tank. Like I 100% had a Smash Captain killing a Astreus super heavy tank from full health in one turn. Like he did like, I want to say when he did that, actually the Astreus had like Iron Stone on it, so every attack against it did 1 less damage, and he still did like 32 wounds or something to it in a single turn. That just doesn't happen anymore. It just can't happen. Like you don't get the number of attacks, and you can't buff any characters like that anymore. So I think overall, having these 3 characters all kitted out to jump around, they need things to synergize with. They need squads to synergize with to make them effective, and I just don't think you have that here. So I guess like specialization, I think is going to be, I think it's 3, but maybe 3's harsh, so maybe 3.5. I don't think that is your score. I think that's just, yeah. So maybe 18, but maybe I've been a little bit generous. Thanks for tuning in this week, Glag. Yeah, whenever you have a list, you know how to submit them, so I'll be here. I have a note on how I'd use this list. Alright, March, well, I hope Thunderhammer Captain says hi. Yeah, but I mean, Thunderhammer Captain was so much better before, right? Like I said, like you could potentially do like 40. I don't know. Like I think you could have a Thunderhammer Captain potentially do like 60 wounds in a turn before, maybe even more, and that's obviously gone now. Like if your character does 10 wounds in a turn in close combat, you're in pretty good shape. I feel like I don't think I've had any character do much more than 10 wounds in any turn in 9th edition. Not since they removed Honor the Chapter, anyway. I mean, that was the thing that always let you push it on to the next level, so to speak, right? Okay, so I hope that helps. If anyone has a list, if anyone has a score for Murch's list, please drop it into the chat now, and I'll update it with your feedback as well as my feedback, because I think the community generally here are giving pretty good feedback. The Apothecary Champion run up the field with Assault Intercessors, and the Tech Marine Librarian Dreadnoughts babysit the Redemptors. Turn the Jumpback Chaplain into a Smash Chaplain as your missile. Yeah, I mean, there's probably ways this list could work. And it probably could work better than I'm giving it credit for. You've had someone do 21 damage in a turn. Well, I mean, good. I guess, was that a Smash Captain with Thunderhammer? And did you take... what is it? Did you Mastercraft the Thunderhammer? Or did you take like a Relic Blade and Mastercraft the Relic Blade? I'd be interested to know. I was thinking of building a new Smash Captain. I was maybe going to make a video about it, actually. But I guess like I'm hoping to get Indomitus this week, so based on that that'll be I guess that'll be what I work on start converting next. Okay, so Merch, I hope that helps you with your list. Maybe gives you some interesting things. Oh, did you add a plan of attack and I didn't read it? Oh shit, sorry. Okay, let's read over your plan of attack. My bad. So, plan of attack. I've built this army around the one that engages on all fronts. Assault squads and attack bites will move up in turn 1. And while we stand, while we fight, 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts secondaries. That is risky as fuck, man. While we stand, we fight on Redemptor Dreadnoughts. I mean, so you're going to force the enemy to come and kill the Redemptors. I mean, that's okay. I have not had confidence to run while we stand, we fight. But, I mean, maybe if you're running them in a bubble. If you're running them in a bubble with a Librarian Dreadnought to give them a 5+ save. But then my question would be, why, if they are your while we stand, we fight characters, why don't you have a Tech Marine repairing them every turn, like Master of the Forge for I think Master of the Forge does a flat 3 heals for a flat 3 every turn, right? The Devastator unit sits, hides in my own objectives and shoots if it can do safely. Yeah, I mean, I guess it needs to become a tactical squad because that wasn't quite right. The Chapter Master, Librarian, Chaplain, and the 2 Dreads move up one side of the table with at least 1 squad of Assault Marines to bodyguard the characters. You know the characters are actually bodyguarded by the Dreadnoughts, right? You don't need to have Assault Marines to bodyguard the characters. The Dreadnoughts, if they're within 3, will bodyguard them. The characters are there to buff the Dreadnought shooting, and the Recantation of Focus and Chapter Master rerolls to provide 5+. Okay, so I mean, I guess that makes sense. On the other side of the board, or in the other objectives, I have 4 units of Assault Intercessors, Vanguard Veterans, and a 3rd Redemptor Dreadnought with Apothecary. Okay, and then hopefully this will give me enough threats to force my opponent to split his fire and allow me to compete effectively for the centre of the table. Bonus, Chaplain has Icon of the Angel and Litany for the +2 charges, so you can deep strike the Vanguard Veterans and get a turn 2 charge at the opponent's battlefield. I think this is preferable to having them on the board. Yeah, do you know what? Okay. You make a lot of interesting points here, and I think that's actually... Let me go back to your scoring. Like, I think you still are going to struggle a little bit with your objective holding, right? Like, you need to have something to hold objectives. The stream is usually maybe like 15 more minutes. You've got one more list to look at on this today. Do you know what? Maybe we move your specialization up, like, because you've obviously thought about this. I think you are going to struggle a little bit if you run into too much armor. But again, maybe that could move up. So maybe 18.5 is harsh. Newcomb said he gave you a 20. And Adam gave you a 19. Yeah, so maybe I'm being a little bit harsh, but I guess what I'm trying to do on these streams is trying to provide value, right? So that yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have looked at... You talk about holding the centre of the board. I don't know if you've looked at the Oath of Moments. What the hell is it called? It's in the Space Marine Codex. It's on page... yeah, I think we're maybe talking about the same thing, Adam. It's on page 113 of the Space Marine Codex. And it's this one here, Oath of Moments. So every turn, you get 1 victory point if you kill an enemy character, vehicle, or monster. So, I mean, I'd say like on an average game, let's say 3 out of 5 turns, you kill 1 enemy, vehicle, character, or monster. It doesn't stack. So if you do that 3 times, you get 3. Score 1 victory point at the end of each battle round as long as none of your units have taken a morale test or fell back during the battle round. Well, like, you... On average, I'd say Space Marines do not... if you fail a morale test, it's once per game maximum. And if you fall back again, it's usually like once per game maximum. So an easy 3 or 4 points again there. And then 2 points at the end of any turn if you're within 6 of the middle. Well, you just talked about trying to get through and into the middle of the board. Then I feel like, again, you're in the middle of the board 3 out of 5 turns fairly easily. So, Oath of Moments for me, I think I've scored it. Do you know what? I've got it right here. Let me jump back to my camera here. So this is the game I played last week on Oath of against a Khorne army. And look, Oath of Moments, I scored 13 points on Oath of Moments. I think it's like a super easy one to score. So that battle report will be on the channel soonish. But yeah, I mean, have a look at... I think that's maybe a better choice than trying to... While we stand, we fight dreadnoughts. But, I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. I just haven't... I think I like to control... I like to control the battlefield and control what... You know, like, you're basically just putting, like, a... Even if your opponent does badly in the game, if he kills those 3 dreadnoughts, he denies you 15 points, you know? It feels like it's an easy denial for your opponent, but I mean, I guess that's just what it is. Okay, yeah. So sorry, Merch. I hope that helps you a little bit more. Terminator Captain with Imperium Sword Warlord trait. Play 1 CP for Fury of the First, and he hits on 2s and all 7 swings connects. Alright, yeah. Do you know what? Someone told me about using Fury of the First on a Terminator Captain just earlier this week, and I think that's... I hadn't considered using it on the Captain before, but yeah, okay. And then finally, someone else, Red Blade, gave you 18. So I guess around 18 or 19 seems like a solid score for this. Khorne into Blood Angels, yeah. Yeah, do you know what? Chaos did get wrecked, but yeah, I kind of had like a... I kind of... at the end of the stream, once I've shown people how to submit list, I'll give you a little bonus on what I had. We are sort of rounding down. So quickly, this last list, let me make it. It's a 1250 point list, so it should just take a minute to make this last list. I guess... yeah, so real quick, I already have some submissions for next week. Swifty, Dale, Kilpatrick, and Bob Nunn. If you guys are in here or you weren't, you guys will be next week, and then probably got room for maybe 2 more next week, and then we'll just keep it going. So he runs Dante and the Sanguiner. Seems like a lot of points to spend on characters for such a small battlefield size, but okay. And then he runs the Sanguinary Ancient, which I don't think is viable right now. Like, I think he's just overpointed. I'd much rather have 4 Sanguinary Guard than this guy. And then, okay, this is actually the simplest list of the lot. We have 1 Sanguinary Guard with 5 guys. These ones all have Infernal Pistols and Power Fists. Then we have a 10-man squad with all axes and just the bolt guns. And then we have another 10-man squad with all swords and bolt guns. I didn't look at this list before, but okay. I think I've got one too many there, and I guess I missed 1250 points. I don't know what he's filled his last 50 points with. 300. Oh, it's 200. So, oh yeah, because these are all Infernal Pistols and Power Fist. That's what takes up the points. Alright, I mean, thanks for the submission, I guess, to start with. The first thing to say is this list is like super one-dimensional, right? Like, it's just you're just running all your jump pack guys in and hoping that you win. You've got nothing to hold objectives with, so you're gonna lose the game based on the fact that you've got nothing to hold objectives with for a start. If you do get into melee combat, yeah, you're going to win the game, but like this whole list is it's basically got a linchpin on, like, you need to make your charges, you need to get into position, and if any of those things don't work for you, you're going to lose the game. And your comment you said you didn't think it's a competitive list, but it's fun and fluffy. Let loose the golden host. Yeah, I mean, sure, it's fun and fluffy, but yeah, it's mad. So if you're actually going to play this competitive, like, you've got nothing that's OBSEC in the list, so it's like, I guess 1.5. how do you clear infantry? Well, I mean, you've got a bunch of Sanguinary Guard with bolters. So, I mean, they would get like 20 shots each squad. So, I mean, you could clear infantry with this. But again, it feels kind of weak, so maybe 3.5. Killing vehicles, I mean, your Sanguinary Guard squads are badly organised anyway, because you should have some cheap models in each squad, whereas you've just got all your cheap guys together. Like, you'd probably be better off making 3 squads of 8 and mixing some of these fists and infernal pistols into each squad, so when you take wounds, you can take them on the lower guys. How effective are you going to be at killing vehicles? Again, 3.5 maybe feels generous. It's going to all be down to if you get into the right position and make your charges. I mean, I guess you need to get a can of gold spray for this army, right? The Sanguinary Ancient also we talked about, he's super weak right now. I just don't think we can field him. If you're playing competitively and you're fielding a Sanguinary Ancient, I'm not sure what you're doing. I just don't think, unless you get some sort of crazy change in the Blood Angels Codex, he's in such a weird spot. I guess you're very mobile in that everything in your army has a jump pack, so we'll give you a high score for that. And then for specialised, is this list too specialised? Then yes, this list is I think this is the most specialised list I've seen yet. So I guess for that, we'll be generous, we'll give you 1.5. So 14.5 out of 25. It's going to lose. You might table your enemy, I guess, but you're going to be completely reliant on charges. And yeah, it's just a bit of a mad list. If anyone has a score for this list, then please just, I guess, put it in the chat. But I feel like it's going to be a bit of a mad score, right? Yeah. Okay, and then I guess while we're waiting to see if anyone wants to score this, Joe has asked a couple of times, how do you submit lists? Yeah, so if you want to submit a list to the channel, you come onto the channel page like this. There's a community tab. You click over in the community tab, and if you look at the posts in the community tab, I guess they don't get expanded, but if you click out here to read them, you'll see here like I'm literally, additionally this week, we're asking for submissions of army lists. And currently it's very much on a first come, first served basis. So if you're disappointed, I only have so much free time a week. So I'm just every time someone puts a comment of a list in, I'm just grabbing it and I'm organising it based on timestamps. So if you want your list submitted, the sooner you give it to me, yeah, I mean, you're right. It doesn't feel like a complete list. If you upgraded it to a full list and what I'm trying to say, if you upgraded it to full list and added a bunch of different troop choices and stuff, then maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody in the chat is saying as well. It's just not really a scoreable / full list. So I don't think we can do much more with it. So I mean, last week what I did was I showed you guys a little preview of like the game I have coming up against. Was Eldar. I'm sorry that the Eldar battle report has taken me so long to put together. Basically the Eldar game is going to be an entire game, like from start to finish, so you can see all the dice rolls, you can see all the plays, and I actually take a Storm Raven, which has Dante, a Sanguinary Guard, and a Librarian Dreadnought in it. I knew the Eldar's player list before the game, so I did say to him, like, I want to run. In one of the games I was running a Land Raider with a Death Company. I said to him, like, do you have enough firepower to shoot a Storm Raven off the board in turn 1? And he said, maybe. And I said, alright, well, we'll take the Storm Raven just because I want to try it in 9th edition to see if it's viable. Because the Storm Raven's 360 points, right? if you get that shot off the board in turn 1, that's a real kick in the teeth. Like, can you even come back from that if you lose 360 points in turn 1? I mean, you probably can, but it's going to be a really tough game. So last week I wanted to look at, I really wanted to look at like a list that included Stormraven, and then obviously I just showed you the score for the game against Chaos, but I think here, yeah, give me 1 second, I'll see if I can get this to... Let me see if I can get this ready. Open with Windows Media Player. And for whatever reason, it's not showing it. All right, I will.
We've got Dante.
Yeah, so this is the list that I run against the Chaos player. And this is what I was talking about, right? Like, I have 2 squads of infiltrators that need painted badly and a Vanguard veteran squad. But let me show you this list, and then this is the battle report that I'm going to start working on after Tuesday, I guess. And it'll be the next one that's on the channel. And I think it's actually... I felt like this list was actually crazy strong, so let me see what you think.
He's got the speed of the Primarch. We've got the Tech Marine with the Relic, the Primarch's Wrath, and he's also a Master of the Forge. Librarian Dreadnought with Meltagun and Biomantic Sarcophagus. 2 squads of Infiltrators, squad of Assault Intercessors, Vanguard Vet 7, 2 Thunderhammers, 2 Power Fists, 2 Chain Swords, 1 Relic Blade on the Sergeant. Sanguinary Guard, 4 Power Fists, 2 Infernal Pistas, 3 axes, 1 sword, the rest bolt guns. Death Company, 5 man, 4 with chain swords, 1 with power fist, and then the Lord of War, Relic Leviathan, super heavy tank destroyer, 3 heavy bolters, 2 quad las cannons, and the volcano cannon.
I want to tell you now that volcano cannon and 8 las cannons and 9 heavy bolter shots did some serious work in that battle, right? Like, I deployed that thing so far back, it was like, it was so difficult for him to get to it, and obviously the Tech Marine giving it a nice 3 wounds back every turn. It'll be a really fun battle to watch, and I think, a few weeks ago someone was asking me, like, can I run a Titan with my Blood Angels army and have the Titan sit at the back of the army and be like my one heavy support option and just like deal out a bunch of damage? I guess, like, I don't own any Titans, but I do own a super heavy tank destroyer, and the super heavy tank destroyer did just that. It just sat at the back of the battlefield, and it just blasted so much pain. Every turn it was like, I guess, like, if we talk about distraction Carnifex, right? Then the Falchion was the distraction Carnifex. It's like, you cannot focus on anything else if you have that thing just bursting out like 8 las cannon shots. And the volcano cannon on it right now, I had to double check the rules the first time I fired it, and I actually dropped a couple of shots by accident because I didn't realise. I actually rolled a 5 and a 6 for the number of shots, and I only did 5, but it should have actually been 6. But this is just ridiculous, right? Strength 14, -5. I actually didn't give it any doctrines because I wasn't sure the doctrines stacked on it because it was a Lord of War, but apparently they do, so it should have been -6. And it's just a flat 6 damage, which is just nuts. For every failed save, like, if you think a las cannon's good when when you roll a 6, well, this is just flat 6. Yeah, I will have a battle report with this guy up. It'll be next on the list to do after the Eldar, and yeah, I mean, this thing was fun, like, really fun. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm running it in a 2,000 point game. They changed the point cost on it. It was like 995 points before, and they dropped them to 600. So I think in that army list it was 610 points. Yeah, I mean, like as I say, Dale, that tank was essentially my knight. I'm hoping to get that battle report up. So Tuesday coming up would be the 17th. So hopefully it'll be up on the channel on the 24th. And I'm having another game tomorrow. And in my game tomorrow, I'm going to run the exact same list. Because I always feel like if you have a good list and you run it once and you win, you don't know if it's good, right? Like, you almost need to lose some games with the list to be like, oh, well, this list had this weakness and now I know about it because I've lost. So I'm going to run that exact same list again. And I think my friend probably... It's a different friend I'm playing, but I think he probably expects... Like, we have a Facebook group, right, that we talk about. I think he probably expects the same list that destroyed the Chaos Force. So he'll probably have been able to tailor his list against it, and I think it might be Necrons. So I guess we'll find out what's going to happen. But okay, I want to say thank you to everybody today that joined the stream. There's a lot of people in here again, which was really nice, and welcome to the party right at the end, Origin Painting. By the way, guys, if you don't. If you are interested in like people on YouTube doing good content for like various Space Marine armies and also sometimes like other Blood Angels players, then Origin Painting, he was just in the chat a minute ago, he has a channel, he actually deserves more subscribers, like his painting videos are really tight, and he is a Blood Angels player as well, so I think I'm going to do a collab with him at some point in the future. Maybe some sort of giveaway where you guys can win some Blood Angels or something. And yeah, I think definitely check out Origin Painting if you haven't done that before. Basically, since Knights can only get 4+ invulnerable, yeah, I mean, the thing about Knights though is, right, they're toughness 8 and they've got like 26 wounds, right? So I think that's identical to the Falchion, right? Like the Falchion has toughness 8 and 26 wounds. And it's got a 2+ save, and you can bubble the Falchion with the Librarian Dreadnought to give it the 5+, feel no pain, right? 5+ invulnerable save, right? So yeah, I mean, I basically had the Librarian on the board to give that to give the Falchion a 5+ invulnerable save. He didn't even need it. Like, there's so many other threats on the board, and hopefully you guys will see that in the battle report going forward. But I think the one thing that I want to say about 9th edition is I've been running a lot of Blood Angels games. I'm sure you guys know this, right? I play a game every Monday night, and it's always Blood Angels, because I gave up on all the other armies just because Blood Angels takes up so much of my time. And the one thing that I really struggle with is, like, a bit like that last list that was submitted, right? That's all melee. Typically, my lists will involve a shitload of melee, right? Like, you'd be talking... Some of my lists would even be 1800 points, where, like, you know, like if I get turn 1, the shooting in turn 1 will be like, I'll shoot a Whirlwind. That'll be it. That'll be the one heavy support option I have. Death from Above 40k does do... I need to actually speak to that guy. I've never met him. I need to speak to him and see. So one of the things that I always think that my Blood Angels list lacks is heavy support. And I feel like to make a good solid list, you need to have a bit of balance in every option, right? Like if you just run a totally solid close combat list and you have a game where you make a lot of bad charges, then you've lost the game just because you made a lot of bad charges. So I think like the strongest lists, I guess that's why this categories thing exists, right? So we're trying to make a list that's strong against everything. And maybe, let me run this list one more time. Maybe next week what we'll do is you guys can score my list that I'm running at the moment once you've seen it in battle. And I'll be interested to see what you guys actually score my list. But thanks everybody this week that submitted a list. It's much appreciated. The stream wouldn't exist, I guess, without the list submissions. So thank you for that. And yeah, I mean, I guess thanks everyone that checked out the video on Friday and the Smash Captains. And thank you, Robin, if you're in here for the suggestion on that video. Suggestions for future videos are always appreciated. Yeah, I mean, I guess I hope you guys all have a great weekend. I will probably be aiming to put Tuesday's battle report against Eldar live about 6 or 7 UK time. So that'll be on Tuesday. So if you want to tune in for that on Tuesday, that'd be great. And if not, I guess I'll see you on Friday, and then I guess I'll see you next week. And if you want to get your list submitted this week, then just keep an eye out for the new post on the community tab, and that is where we go to submit the lists. Alright, yeah, thanks again, everyone that tuned in, all the regulars, especially if you're still here at the end. I appreciate you guys watching for so long. And I guess I will speak to you all very soon. And I hope you all have a great weekend. By the blood are we made. Peace.